Where's Waldo? Hi Canuge. Oh hi KPB, running a little bit late today. Check out Waldo's videos https://www.youtubecom at Waldo Videos. Points. At KBP24 has 7,689 points. Gamble 100. At KBP24 dice roll result 6, you've won triple the bet. Slots. The result is at KBP24, sorry keep trying, you lost 50 points. Getting started soon. Toss any links to Stroys into chat or the Discord. Discord. https discord gg beignet tridix 8. Is this just gonna be another KBP degenerate gambling stream? There's more to me than my addiction. Gamble 100. At KBP 24 dice roll result 2 you lost the bet. The National Problem Gambling Helpline is 1800 Gambler. Look what you've done. Canooch ma gouch. Canooch ma gouch. Canooch ma gouch. Lame. Canooch ma gouch. Lame. Wanoch. Shouldn'ouch. Tengo que hacer es que tengo que hacer.
Oh, hi. How you doing? My name is Waldo. What is this, Popog? We ain't gonna have none of this un-American language in here. All right? We ain't gonna have it. Just kidding. Hi. How's it going? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How's everybody doing today? It seems that I am alone at the moment. Uh, Thomas is not in the voice channel. He may pop in, he may not. We don't know. If he feels like it, he will. If he doesn't, he won't. That's okay. We'll move on and soldier on without him. Um, So it's Saturday.
El Volcan de lo Quirin.
What is this madness? Popog, you can't be bringing all this un-America in here. This stream is 100% red, white, and blue. Okay? It's not true. Uh, uh, we have the Lady Canooch with us today. She is hopefully going to stick around for as long as we want her
Aw
to.
man, she can't do the long words.
Yeah. She's not that good. I don't think she's capable of pronouncing Perengari Cultura Morocco the way I can perfectly. But it's good to test her. I do completely support you guys picking on her and making her say crazy things. That's how she got the name Canooch anyway. Is because we accidentally noticed that she can't say the word, the apostrophe T, and then a word after it just completely dorks her up. And I'm glad that we found that. So now we can mess with her, pick on her, screw with her.
Perengari Qtiri Makwaro.
Yeah, that one.
Wouldn't
uh,
have guessed.
Wait, she got that right. What'd you do, KVP? Did you break her into working properly?
Hey, that was pretty close.
Yeah. How did you get it to work properly? You magical maniac. What have you done? You She just didn't even try with that Shinseto. She's not even going to attempt. She just dead silent. This is what breaks her. See, you guys, if she doesn't work after this one, somebody else types some tests in there.
Hawaii. Test.
Okay. I was worried that you broke her, Shinseto, because you typed that, she didn't say anything, and then maybe that's what kills it. Maybe that's why she keeps dying, is you guys keep pushing her too far. That's why she leaves midstream, as you guys push her so far that she just cannot have any more of it. She's like, I can't read that. I can't pronounce any of these wacky long words, and I'm out. Too many apostrophes. I'll leave. So be careful. Anyway, today is Saturday. It doesn't seem like Thomas is going to jump in anytime soon. I don't know. He hasn't said anything, but that's okay. Uh, he comes and goes like the wind. And that's why we like him. I'm in there in the stream channel. If you hear him pop up, then he will be in, and that's it.
Drop tables voice data.
Now you're trying to hack her. Okay, we got a look out. We got a
Let us
hacker
feel
over
some
here.
news.
Let's feel some news in the meantime, because some news happened. Some politics did, in fact, happen. Let's get one of those stories up right now. We have to click the buttons properly and turn off the game cap. Turn on the window cap.
Will the news feel us back?
The news will feel you back, yes, but it's tricky to get them to tell you how they feel. So it's a complicated thing that we got. Wait, is chat not on the screen anymore? Why isn't chat on the screen? Did I turn chat off? I didn't. Let's turn it back on. What in the hell is that? Why is chat not on the screen? Man, if it ain't one thing, it's four. All right, we gotta right click on
Chat is
this,
hidden by Our Lady Canooch.
and then
Show
what
me
we
in the
gotta
bear
do,
where news touched you.
and then we have to uh, interact, I think, with, there's a interact, yeah. That's the choice, and then we click this button, and then it recognizes that I'm a person, and then it should bring chat up here. There it is. Now
At least Kicom thinks you're human.
all right, I think that's the wrong chat, because now it's not showing Popog. We're going to delete that one. We're not going to delete it. We're just going to move it down here. Then what we're going to do, we're going to go to kick chat, turn that on. Is that it? That's it. Okay. Now we have everybody. Okay, sorry. I don't know how that got turned off or blinded. It's got the little eyeball that turns it off. Um, editing Waldo. Cut all this out. I'll, uh,
Hey, look at that.
hey, look at that. There it is. That's the combo chat that I worked so hard on to get the YouTube, the Twitch, and the Kick all in the same place at the same time. Lady Canooch does
What
not
a
work.
handsome array of chatters.
I know, right? Lady Canooch does not work for YouTube, and I don't know why, but there's hardly anybody ever in there anyway, and I don't blame them. It's a
How look
really
at this.
it, it is a very slow chat experience over there on the YouTube, so we tend not to pay attention to it. Okay, what are we doing? We are doing the politics. Let's minimize that. Let's bring this up over here so I can read it. So this happened on Wednesday. The Supreme Court to hear Trump's criminal immunity claim, further delaying the trial. So, in accepting to listen to it and hear the arguments and discuss it, they have set like an April date to hear the arguments. And then I've been hearing some people say that they want to have a decision until like October. That's bad. That helps Donald Trump win. Because what happens is that he says he's not under investigation, that the Supreme Court's going to back him up, and he's not in trouble, and he gets to continue on with the primaries. So because he gets to continue on with the primaries, the people are going to vote for him. And then if, for some reason, the uh, he gets found guilty, well, not even guilty, but the Supreme Court in October will tell us that he's not immune. That's when Jack Smith can start his case after that, which won't be in time before November. Which means if Donald Trump wins, he will shut that shit down. He will shut it down so hard. He will put somebody in charge of the DOJ that will make it all go away, and they will cease to function. They will not look into him anymore. They will drop it all. They will give it all away. I don't like that. That sounds like a bad idea. What? Let's keep reading though. Bobo the baby bark boy is over there barking at a balloon. Bobo the baby bark boy is barking at a balloon. I gotta go shut the door. Bobo, my man, it's just a balloon. The kid has a birthday balloon in his room, and anytime we leave this door open over here, Bobo goes in there and barks at the balloons because he hates them. He hates the balloons, and I don't know why. Oh, it's Bobo. Hi, Bobo. It's just a balloon, dude. You you don't have to bark at it. It's just a balloon, but it floats there all ominously, and he hates it. So, is Bobo. All right, Bobo. Are you gonna go barking at me? Yeah. Okay. Let's go. KVP also hates balloons. Well, that's a hot take, KVP. You also hate balloons. That's a pretty serious accusation. I might have to drag you onto stream sometime to argue with you of the positive or negative of balloons. Well, Lady Canuch is dead because I turned her off for the news, for the newsy segments. She hasn't died. Okay, so yes, you're right. The problem is that the president likely does have crown immunity for official actions. The real question is, that counts as official actions. I don't think that even Kavanaugh believes that. Popog. Kavanaugh wrote some shit about Bill Clinton back in the 90s, before he was on the Supreme Court. Obviously, Kavanaugh wrote some shit about how the president absolutely can be indicted for things he does after he's been removed from office through impeachment or when his term ends. Kavanaugh wrote that stuff, and I have no doubt that Kavanaugh will ignore those the things that he wrote in the past to help Donald Trump. But that's my rant that's coming up. Let's keep reading about this. What have we got? He is Supreme Court to hear Trump's criminal immunity claim. He is challenging prosecution in his federal election subversion case. The U.S. Supreme Court will weigh in on whether Donald Trump can claim sweeping presidential immunity in the face of federal prosecutor criminal case against him for his alleged election subversion in 2020. The justice said that they were ordered. The justices said in an order on Wednesday that they will take up the question in oral arguments during the week of April 22, so April 22nd, which further delays Trump's prosecution, already paused while he's been pressing his immunity appeal in the lower courts. Trump's facing 4 felony counts, including conspiracy to defraud the United States government and obstruction in connection with what the prosecutors call his plot to remain in power. He pleaded not guilty to the charges brought by special counsel Jack Smith. Okay, so any action while in office is an official action. Does the president have off hours? Is he in his sleep? Is that a parsonage offense? Yeah. Uh, it's they're gonna say whatever they have to say. That's the thing. Donald Trump and his lawyers will literally say anything they have to get a win. Doesn't matter if it's legal, doesn't matter if it's logical, doesn't matter if it's sensical. They will say whatever they have to. They will arrange the words in any shape that they need to get the result they want. They do not care about what's true. They do not care about what is correct. They do not care about what is lawful or right. They will say whatever they have to say to get the outcome they want. Doesn't matter. Um, and it worries me because if the immunity case isn't decided until October, that's 1 month before the election, which means that the Jan 6 case almost certainly doesn't have enough time to happen before the election. And if Donald Trump wins, and he very well could, he just might, he'll put somebody in charge of the Justice Department who will completely drop all of those cases. At which point, in my opinion, and yes, this is just my prediction in my opinion, he's gotten away with crimes against democracy. He has harmed our society, and since he wasn't punished, he'll do it again, and again and again and again. He's promised uh, on the campaign trail so far, he has promised to go on a revenge tour. He will pardon all of the people that are in jail for Jan 6 right now. His Justice Department will go after anybody who was against him in the last few court cases. The judge from the New York fraud case will be federally investigated, charged, and removed from his position on fake charges. The House Republicans are already trying their asses off to impeach Joe Biden right now over bribery charges that we know for certain are lies made up by Russian spies. They don't care that it's a lie made up by Russian spies. The allegation is all that matters. The Republicans will go along with any lie that gets them what they want. And they'll push those lies all day long. But Waldo, what about the Senate and the legislature? They would have to pass and approve the laws that Trump is passing. Yeah, true. But if you disagree with Trump, he'll manufacture lies to get rid of you. And then an investigation will begin. And then you'll be falsely charged, and then you'll be removed from office. If a Senate Democrat disagrees with Trump after he's elected, they will have lies manufactured about them, investigations begun, and then they'll be falsely charged, then they'll be removed from office. And the Dems are wimps. They will all back down after this happens once. The Constitution will not protect us. It will be interpreted by the people with power any way they want. They will make any argument they can to support the lie that gets them the win. The Constitution will not protect us from that. The Supreme Court will not protect us from that. The only thing that might protect us from that is voting for Joe Biden to conserve the status quo. And that makes me unhappy, but Joe Biden is the status quo. He is the conservative in this situation. And if we vote for him, then maybe in the future, we can stop conserving the status quo and move left with leftists. Anyway, that's my rant. What's chat got to say? Dr. Unstoppable, very nice. Glad you're here. We talk politics. Give us your hot political takes, and we'll talk about them. We'll feel them out. Mel City, and that sounds like Russia. Yeah, it sure does. Donald Trump making whatever he wants true and telling everyone that it's true, and then it being put into law based on nothing is a bad system. I don't think that's a good system. I don't want that to happen. But I think that's what will happen. I think that if he wins, the judges who are against him on those state trials will absolutely have be federally investigated. They'll get all kinds of crazy things thrown at them for no reason, and it'll be made up, and it won't matter. The robbery hasn't been proven false. It's still actively being adjudicated. The main witness is in jail. Right now, I'm pretty sure he was arrested. The main witness has been proven false, and that is they're still hanging their entire case on it. My take on Jan 6 is that while I really don't like Trump, 50.1% of voting Americans want to be president again. They should be president again. Right. And if those 50.1% of Americans vote to take away people's rights, then nothing will stop them. Only politics can stop them. We have to beat them in the ballot box, not the courthouse. Well, I think you're right, Dr. Unstoppable. The Supreme Court isn't going to protect us. It's not. The Constitution is not going to protect us. Remember in Game of Thrones? I know. We talk about Game of Thrones a lot around here. Did Is this really just a Twitch stream? I don't know. It is actually a Twitch stream and a Kick stream. Billy Blick, thanks for jumping in on Kick. You can be a follower on Kick or Twitch or YouTube. It is quite scary. Remember on Game of Thrones when Robert King Baratheon is lying there dying?
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Dr. Unstoppable, you just turned a frog gay. Are you proud of yourself? I hope you're happy. I'm proud of you. If you want to turn a frog gay, become a follower. Anyway, Robert Baratheon lying, dying in a bed, and he says to Ned all the stuff. He puts a literal legal document out. Ned Stark takes that literal, correct document to the people in front of the Iron Throne. And what does Cersei do with it? She tears it in half. That's what she does. That's what Donald Trump is going to do. That is what he will do. He will tear those things in half. He does not care about them because he is in power and he will do what he wants. And and the majority of people will be in the position that Barristan Selmy was in. Selmy, the good, right, honorable knight wearing a white cloak, standing there, wants to follow the law, but he just watched the person in charge tear up the law. And he says, those are the king's words. You can't do that. That's where most of the people will be. That's where Nancy Pelosi will be. She will be standing there as Trump commits crimes, saying, you can't do that. And she'll write strongly worded letters. Nothing will happen. He'll do what he wants. And then he'll invent crimes that she's committed, and he'll lie to you. He'll tell you what crime she's committed. And those crimes will then become facts and reasons to get rid of her. And then she will be removed. And nothing will stand in his way. That is my wild, crazy prediction for what's actually going to happen if he wins. If he wins. There's no guarantee that he will, but there's a chance. And Bobo's back. He's back. There's all the kids left the house today. So, and my wife is working, so it's just me and Bo. All right. Go boy. He's down there biting my toes. It's really hard. It's really hard to rant when a puppy's biting your toes. I'm just telling you. This is difficult. The main witness is in jail. Jail's not prison. He still deserves his day in court. Sure, give him a day in court. But is he going to? It's very, very likely that his witness to the Joe Biden bribery is false. Does that change what the Republicans are doing? No, it doesn't change what they're doing. When the evidence changes, you should change your end point. The Republicans won't do that. They're not doing that. The House Republicans are still going forward with this impeachment. I like to believe Trump will not become a dictator if elected a second time because no one is going to obey an unlawful order. I hope you're right, Dr. Unstoppable, but I don't think you will be. I think that once Donald Trump realizes he can get away with anything he wants, he will just he will follow Project 2025, which I've covered. He will absolutely ideologically test everybody in those institutions, and they will be his followers. They will do unlawful things, and no one will stop them. No one can stop them. He will stand in front of the Iron Throne and tear up that sheet of paper. and tell you that he's doing it for America for good reason. He will tell you that he's doing it to stop the wokies. He will tell you that he's doing it because the Dems are corrupt. I think Trump would rather become a dictator than become an ex-president. How do you think he would achieve that? It, the court won't stand in his way. The court can't stop him. They can't stop him if he fills all the institutions with his followers, with his people. And they will do what he says, and they will happily, gladly do all the things that he tells them to do. It won't be legal. I think, okay, so here's the situation. In 2020, he won. Surprisingly, nobody expected him to win. I kind of mentioned this last week, but he didn't expect to win, so he didn't have the people in place to do the things that he wanted. And Thomas brings it up every week that, yeah, Trump had all these plans, and they didn't and he couldn't get them passed. That won't happen a second time, man. There is no way that he is not going to get the plans passed. He is the Project 2025. The people in charge of that have put together a step-by-step playbook to take over the entire government, top to bottom. Every single organization will be in control by them, and his plans will pass. And if somehow he gets put on trial, bend the justice system over, and delay, yeah, that's what they're doing now, because the justice system is still somewhat functional. It's still being run by people who are generally correct and want it to run properly. The Supreme Court's a little bit iffy, but they want it to run properly. They want the things to go properly. I don't think that the problem is the fact that, well, okay, the people in charge right now want it to run properly. That's fine. Once he's in charge, once Donald Trump is in charge, he'll throw 17 more people on the Supreme Court. What are you going to do to stop him? And they'll all be his fans, and they will all agree with him all the time. You won't be able to stop him. What are you going to do? Nothing. You'll stand down on the bottom of the steps, just like Barristan Selmy, and say, you can't do that. Nancy Pelosi will write a strongly worded letter. Nothing will happen. I'll yell about it into this camera. Nothing will happen. I mean, lots of bad things will happen through the country. I mean, the immigrants will be rounded up and put onto trains, and concentration camps will start. But that won't be able to be stopped by the court. You can't stop that from the court. I know that we talk about Roe versus Wade all the time. Some of us universally oppose court packing. Great. I don't want it packed either. No one will stop them. And if the Senate tries to stop him, he'll invent fake charges, make up a lie, have the DOJ investigate them, because he'll be in charge of the DOJ. He'll invent something to yell at Nancy Pelosi about. Invent it from out of nowhere. A Russian spy will tell him that Nancy Pelosi cheated on her taxes once, and he will gear the entire DOJ into investigating this false claim and shut her down. He'll have her impeached, and then there'll be one less voice there against him. And that will happen in the Senate too. And then they'll have the majority in the Senate. Once they get 51 in the Senate, they will change all the rules. All of them. Doesn't matter what the rules are. If the Senate is at 100 and what is it, like 51 or something like that, once they get 51 Republicans, they'll just investigate the people standing in their way until they get what they want. If a military person is ordered to detain half of the Congress as terrorists with no due process under the Defense Appropriation 14, that person disobeyed an order and would come down to a military tribunal, right? Yes. I don't think they'll use the military for any of this. They're not going to have the military arresting these people. They're going to have local DC cops doing it. This won't be a military thing. I don't think this is a military thing at all, because I don't think he has that power of them. Impeachment requires 2/3, and they'll get rid of the people who don't agree. If you're standing in his way, he will invent a. If Nancy Pelosi stands in his way, he'll invent a fake controversy and blame her and say that she's a criminal and bring her up on charges, right? And if you stand in the way of that, he'll invent a fake thing about you. If Swalwell stands in his way of prosecuting Nancy Pelosi, he'll say that Swalwell's part of it, and then he'll invent crimes. He'll just invent them and then bring you up on charges, and the DOJ will absolutely be weaponized. The Republicans fucking scream bloody murder about Obama and Joe Biden weaponizing the DOJ, but they haven't. Not even close. If Donald Trump wins, he will weaponize the DOJ, like in a way that we've never seen before. Criminal charges can't remove them from office. It can put them in jail. You're using the law, Popog. The law is out the window. If he wins again, the law is out the window. You're Barristan Selmy right now, Popog. You are. You're Barristan Selmy, standing at the bottom of those steps. Cersei has just torn up the piece of paper unlawfully, and you're saying, well, that's against the law. Doesn't matter. She did it. It's done. And that's what will happen. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I think that he's extremely dangerous. Things come down to the military is a bit extreme. I was just wondering what the best fail-safe lines. I haven't thought about the military at the moment. Plus, self-interest to the Senate would remove him before he could remove them. Real money? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think the Senate, the self-interest of the Senate is to not rock the boat. They hate making tough decisions. They like being in front of a camera, and they like complaining about the other team. Nancy Pelosi loves being in second place. The Dems love being in second place. They love it. Once you recognize that they enjoy being in second place, a lot of things fall into place. A lot of why would they do that? What happened here? How did this happen? A lot of that falls into place once you recognize that they want to be in second place because it's easy. It's pleasant. It's comfy. You get to sit in your chair, you get to lean back, and you get to point and yell at all the things that the people are doing wrong that are in charge. You get to yell about them. That's easy, it's pleasant, it's fun. Being in charge is far more difficult. I think that's why you get your manipulator type guys like Cheney. Remember Dick Cheney? He was vice president, but we all kind of thought he was president. George W. takes all the blame for everything, and he's just doing everything Dick Cheney tells him to. Being in second is very nice. I'll give it 50 to 1 odds. I know it's not terribly likely, but if Donald Trump wins, I think some of these things are going to happen. And if he gets a little bit of power, he's going to seize it, and he's going to keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it. Which is why this thing makes me nervous. The fact that this could be stopped by the court, but they're not going to stop it. They're not going to stop it. So, all the court trying to prove him guilty of the crimes is just out the window. It's out the window. If Biden wins, then the trial will go through in 2025. What's his name? Jack Smith will finish this trial, and then he'll be found either guilty or not guilty. I don't know. Probably guilty, but even if he did, they'll call it time served. And if he's found not guilty, then he'll just go off and say that it was a sham the whole time, because that's how politics works, right? If you go to trial and you've been found not guilty, that's a witch hunt, right? That's what that term means, right? I'm being facetious. That's not what that means. And so, yeah. Where was I at? I was ranting, and then I forgot what I was talking about. There was a line about the second place in the TV show The West Wing. Your problem is that you don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be the guy relies on. Right. It kind of happens in South Park as well, where the kids don't want to play baseball, so they're all trying to lose. Same situation. They don't want to win. They want to be live streamers. They want to talk into a camera. They want to be important in the important room, but they don't want to be the person that everybody else looks up to. It's very dangerous, very difficult. And if you do anything wrong, they yell at you, and you get in trouble, and then you don't get reelected next year. So they don't want those things. What else is on the politics today? Pobog knows what's up. Let's see. So Swalwell was roasting Donald Trump in the inquiry exchange with Hunter Biden. Okay. The California congressman repeatedly zinged the former president as he questioned Hunter Biden in the impeachment inquiry for Joe Biden. So we won't read any of we'll just read what's in the transcript. Swalwell. Anytime your father was in government prior to the presidency or before, did he ever operate a hotel? Biden, no, he has never operated a hotel. Swalwell. So he's never operated a hotel where foreign nationals spent millions at that hotel while he was in office. Biden, no, he has not. Swalwell, did your father ever employ the Oval Office and any direct family member who also worked in the Oval Office. But no, my father's never employed any direct family members to my knowledge. Swallow, while your father was president, did any of his family receive 41 trademarks in China? No. As president and the leader of the party, has your father ever tried to install, as chairperson of the party, a daughter-in-law or anyone else in the family? No. Has your father ever, in his time as an adult, been fined $355 million for any state that he worked in? No. Anyone in your family ever strike a multi-billion-dollar deal with the Saudi government while your father was in office? No. These are the things that Donald Trump does because he's crooked. He's crooked. He's corrupt. He is corruption. He benefits from people giving him things and giving people stuff illegally or shadily. Maybe not illegal, but the reason Swalwell is asking this and why he's asking it is the same question, is the same reason I asked Thomas the other day. I said to Thomas, is Joe Biden more or less corrupt than Donald Trump? And he said more. And that boggles my mind still at the moment. I can't even comprehend it. Did Biden do any of these things mentioned here? If Barack Hussein Obama owned a hotel and anyone from the country of Nigeria ever stayed at it, they would have brought him up on bribery charges. They would. The Republicans would have bribery charges ready to go. And anybody who stayed at Barack Hussein Obama's hotel after he was elected would be proof positive that they're paying him directly. But they don't care when Trump does it. The Saudis and the literally paid millions of dollars to his hotels, to Donald Trump's hotels, and didn't stay in them. Money laundering, crooked, illegal money laundering. That's what they were doing. They're bribing him. They were giving him money and getting maybe some political favors in return, with the hope of getting political favors. But no, Republicans don't care because they will say anything they can to get with the win. They will say anything they can to get the win. He's just a good businessman. That's right, Shinsinto. What else? Yeah, he put his family in crookedly. He shadily, corruptly put his family in these important jobs. You know, because he's crooked, because he's corrupt. 41 trademarks from China. You know, that's more corruption. They gave it to her. They gave his daughter. They gave Trump's daughter these patents and trademarks, not patents, trademarks, because they wanted political favors back from him. But Republicans don't care. And the fact that he's putting his daughter-in-law in charge of the RNC right now, they don't care. The only corruption that a Republican cares about is Democrat corruption. Republican corruption to a Republican is just how they get things done. That's just, everybody does it. Don't worry about it. Look at the other side. Whataboutism? And that is reinforcing the rant I went on a few minutes ago. Donald Trump gets elected. He acts corruptly. They'll support it. They supported him last time. Every time he did something corrupt, they'll support him in the future. Anytime he does something incorrectly or corruptly. They don't care. Rubber and glue, schoolyard tactics, crooked Joe Biden. Don't look at me. That's right. Mel City is damn right. Don't pay attention to us. Don't listen to the things we're doing wrong. Look at what Joe Biden did. And if he didn't do anything wrong, we'll make it up. The thing I like about Trump is that he gives insight into what the politician is thinking. He can't help it. When Trump has an idea, 20 minutes later, it's on the internet. Sometimes it's ugly, but it's honest. Yeah, he is accidentally far more honest because you get to see his thought process. He'll tell you that every single thing that's happening inside his head. He will just blurt them out. And sometimes those things are bad and wrong and crooked. How can Biden beat Trump at the X-Truth social game? He can't. He literally can't, because Joe Biden is saying, stand still, stay right here. Do not move to the left. Do not move to the right. Everything is okay right now. Don't move anywhere. Be still. That is what he's pushing. That is the overall message. Don't move to the right. Don't move to the left. Stand still, status quo. Making him, I think, a conservative. Uh, Donald Trump and the right wing are suggesting we need to do these things. We need to move right. We need to move further. We need to go and make uh, uh, abortion illegal, and we need to get rid of the transes, and we need to get rid of the social things, and we need to move all these social things, and we need to build a wall, and we need to do the border, and we need to do all these things. We need to militarize that border. They are saying things. Biden's saying stop things, just don't do anything. The left says do things, but we don't have any leftists in the government. We have very few anyway. The Justice Dems are kind of leftist, but not completely. The Dems aren't the left party. They're not. They're the conservative party. And the right, the Republicans, are the right-wing party, moving things to the right and backward in time. Move it to the right, backward in time. That's what they want. They're not conserving anything. They're regressing. The Republicans are regressing. The Dems are standing still, conserving what we have because they're conservative. Can't he won't or won't even try that he's giving up on a huge voting bloc. Yeah, he should have a presidential debate in the Jerry Springer set. Yeah, that's the problem, though, isn't it? That we want to be entertained. This isn't about entertainment. This shouldn't be about entertainment. Talking about it, anybody who's here in chat is already probably far more involved and informed on politics than the normie American. Secret Service needs to break up the fight, and the audience will start chanting USA. That's right, because that's what the normie Americans want. Is this right here? The presidential debate to be Jerry Springer, to be entertaining and fun and things you can laugh at. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Make politics boring again. That's my idea. Make politics boring again. I doubt anyone in Truth Social isn't voting for Biden. Wait, what? No, I think you put an extra isn't in there. 80% of Truth Social is Russian bots, right? And the 20% of people that are there believe the things that those Russian bots tell them because they want to believe it. The House Republicans who are impeaching Joe Biden over this witness of the $5 million bribe want to believe it. They want to believe it. They want it to be true. They want it to be true, so they will believe it. Belief is the problem. This is what I've been saying. When, what was that guy's name? Comer, I think is his name. Comer in the House wants to believe that Joe Biden's crooked. So he then goes to look for evidence to prove that he's crooked. He has the end point in mind already, and he works backward from that end point. Regressive, again. So he wants to believe that Russian disinformation guy. He wants to believe it. And when it's proven that the Russian disinformation guy and the witness is a liar, it doesn't stop him. He doesn't change his course. When new evidence comes into light, he will not change his course because he's based on belief. Belief is the problem. So let's see what else we've got in the news today. So let's get rid of Swalwell. Let's get rid of that. Let's listen to what Trump has to say. So this link was sent to me by KBP. And so we're going to listen to it and we're going to watch it. If you are here in the stream, if you are watching, if you want to send links, you can. You can send them to the Discord. Right there. There it is. The Discord. Go there. You can send links. You can tell us what topics to talk about. And yeah, that is true. You're making some accusations there, boss. All right, so what have we got? We've got boom, a video of Mr. Donald J. Trump. What's the J stand for? Junebug. Donald Junebug Trump. Let's hear what he has to say. Okay. right off the bat. This video may include disinformation or dehumanizing or discriminatory rhetoric. Right-wing watch exposes bigotry and extremism to disrupt authoritarian political forces and defend democracy. All right. Party time, man. That was good. I like it. All right. Let's watch it. See what he has to say.
So today I come before you as a friend and an ally and a fellow believer to ask for your help and your support and your prayers for this country. We need your prayers most importantly.
Most importantly, belief is the problem.
And I make you a simple promise. In my first term, I fought for Christians harder than any president has ever done before. You know that. You know that. And I will
You believe that. You believe that.
fight even harder for Christians with 4 more years in the White House. We did things that the likes of which nobody has ever done for Christians in this country, and I'm very proud of that. And
I actually agree with that sentence. He did do more for them than anybody else ever has. He gave them all kinds of power that they didn't have before and made it to where they have more rights than anybody else.
honored by it. Just think of what, with God's help, we already achieved in our historic first term. Just a few of the things under my leadership and working with you and a lot of the great people in the room. For 4 years, we went through a great period. You were able to speak, and we're going to make that on a permanent basis. You're going to be able to do it because you're the people we want to hear from, the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis. The people in this room are the people we want to hear from, and
That's the people you want to hear from. It's going to be great.
they have to have a political voice. You know, if you think about it, you have men, you have women, and you have religion. If you look at it, you have more than the men, you have more than the women. You
What?
have such power, but you weren't allowed to use that power.
Okay.
And you're now allowed to use it. I get in there, you're going to be
Allowed to
using
use
that
it.
power at a level that you've never used it before.
Guys, you're going to use that power at a level you've never used it before. To harm the people you don't like. To make laws that are unconstitutional. To force your will on all the people, whether they want it or not. You'll have that power. And he's promising it. This is great. Your power level will be over 9,000 is true. Yeah, that's bad. I'm gonna put some emo Waldos in chat because we need them. It's time for emo Waldos. You know, this whole idea of Christian nationalism is going to kill us all. I'll be put onto a truck and I'll be put on a train and carted into the re-education center, I suspect. He's all for theocracy as long as it can be the leader. Yeah, he will be in charge. He needs the foot soldiers that he was just speaking to vote for him so that he can have the power and then feed them whatever he wants. Especially because if it's going to feed his power. Yeah, he's going to feed them. He's going to tell them what they want to hear. They're going to be happy. They're going to offer the prayers, and then he will just get to be in charge forever. It's going to be great. And then his kids will take over. It'll be a whole. I think we did that once before, right? Where like the religion decided who was in charge, and then their kids took over afterward, and then their kids, and then we argued over which kid got to be in charge. It sounds like a thing we've done before in the past, so maybe it'll happen again. Thanks for the link, KBP. Oh, I hate it. KBP sent me another one. Let's watch it. Oh God, it's Stephen Miller. I hate that guy. Let's see what Stephen Miller has to say. We'll bring that up too, since it's in the same vein, I suspect. Stephen Miller, I hate that guy, really, honestly. That is just one of the worst people who is going to just be in charge if Donald Trump wins. If Donald Trump wins, this is the guy. This is the guy that will be behind the scenes making all the decisions for you and your life. will be this guy. Let's hear what he has to say. We get the disclaimer
Call it
again.
a mental illness, call it a spiritual failing, call it a moral deficiency, call it weakness, softness, or just being pathetic. There is something really broken in the conservative brain. They're afraid not only
Oh, I agree. It's just from a different angle.
of conflict, we know that, but there's an even deeper fear, a deeper fear than all of that, which is having power and using power. Conservatives are addicted to the language of libertarianism, which is fine. You know, it's a terrible ideology, but in an academic setting, okay, have these debates. You elect a state Supreme Court justice, you elect an attorney general, and so on and so forth, to have an office with specific powers, duties, and responsibilities, with the expectation that they will use that authority to defeat evil, to protect the good, and to accomplish positive change in society. And
Is that part of the bar, Popog, to defeat evil? Is that, you're my legal expert. Is that what you have to swear to uphold when you become a lawyer, to defeat evil?
you have to use that power fearlessly. A number of states, for example, have passed laws saying that you can't have this in the curriculum, or you can't have that in the curriculum, and you can't teach DEI, and so on and so forth. Without exception, I can promise you, all the commies in the classroom changed the name of their lecture, changed one word, changed one little paragraph in the syllabus, and did the exact same damn thing every single day because they're communists and that's what they do. Were they sued? No. Were they arrested if they broke a law and it's applicable? No. Did any DA
Commies don't get arrested when they break the law. This is news to me.
anywhere, if you're talking about trans issues, think of arresting somebody for abusing children with trans ideology? No. We write blog posts about it. That's what we do.
Trans rights are human rights.
So until we get serious, all the way down to the local DA, all the way up to the state AG, and every office in between, including judges, electing people who have power and will use that power and measure their success by change in the real world, then we aren't going to be able to beat the left.
He'll be in charge very soon, if and when, when Donald Trump wins. Dr. Unstoppable, my site is more general topics, politics when specifically related to Trump, and current topic, I worked on it for a while, love to get your take on. Okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a look. Lawyers are basically paladins, it's true. They have proven to defeat evil, and to protect the world from devastation is the actual wording within the bar, so that's good. So this guy's onto something, I think. If in Portland, it's probably true. You don't get arrested for breaking the law if you're a communist. Interesting. But that speech made no sense. I agree. He doesn't have to make sense. He has to make the people feel good. Politics is based on feelings. All of it. Everybody's politics. Mine, yours, his, specifically, definitely based on feelings. Stephen Miller feels like communism is bad. Stephen Miller has very strong feelings about immigrants, and he will feel those until he gets the laws passed that he wants. It doesn't have to make sense. Just dollar bills. No, I don't think. Oh no, I don't think Stephen Miller's in it for the money. No, sir. He is a zealot. Stephen Miller is a 100% true believer. He believes the things he's saying. Donald Trump's in for the money. I agree. Donald Trump wants money. He wants power. And if the power gives him more money, that's what he wants. I dig it. You could say the same of Nancy Pelosi. She wants the power. She wants the thing. Does she believe everything? Maybe, maybe not. But not Miller, not guys like Miller. He believes what he's saying, and he believes that he will make the world a better place. I may not have the ability to put links into chat. I'll double check it. I'm not a very good streamer, Dr. Unstoppable. I'm terrible at it. I can barely operate this thing as it stands. I will bring your thing up after the next story. We'll take a look at it and see what's going on. The next story here is dang thing. Missouri teachers using affirming pronouns could face felony crime. So, this hasn't passed yet. I think this is just a suggestion. The proposed law prescribes penalties beyond a felony charge in the form of forcing a person convicted to register as a sex offender. So, if this passes, and I don't think it will, a Missouri teacher using the pronoun that the child has asked them to use would be committing a felony and could be convicted and registered as a sexual offender. Because of free speech, apparently. The right loves free speech, and that's why they always push it, right? The new bill introduced in the Missouri legislature would put teachers on the sex offense registry if they contribute to social transition. That's a very broad term, my man. That is a very broad term. Contribute to social transition of a trans youth, including pronouns, haircuts, information, and more. Information. If you give them a link in chat on what the word trans means, if you give them a link to Wikipedia on what transgender means, you have just given them information, and you are now a felon. It would make the actions of the teacher contributing to social transition a Class E felony. It's the lowest, I'm sure, but it's still a felony. Pronouns make me confused and uncomfortable. Criminalize it. Exactly. So here's what it actually reads. A person commits the offense of contributing to social transition if the person is acting in his or her official capacity as a teacher or school counselor. The person provides support regardless of whether it is support is material or information or other resources to a child regarding social transition. The offense is contributing to social transition is a Class E felony used in the section. The following term means child, a person under 18. Social transition, the process by which an individual adopts the name, pronouns, and gender expression, such as clothing, haircuts, to match the individual's gender identity, and not the gender assumed by the individual's sex at birth. Teacher is a term that is defined by subdivisions great, and the proposed law prescribes penalties beyond felony charges in the form of forcing a person convicted to register as a Tier 1 sex offender with required annual registration. So they would then have to be on the sex offender registry, and then you can't be a teacher at that point. They lost their entire career. They would then have to live in a certain place, and there's 1,000 different laws. I don't know what the Missouri ones are, but generally you have to live in a certain place that's so far away from schools, and then you have to go and introduce yourself to the neighbors as someone who is on the sexual offender registry. You have to go around and tell people. The actual, literal pedophiles who are on that list are gonna lie. They're gonna go from door to door and say, hey, I'm here and I'm a sex offender, but it was because I called a trans kid by their preferred pronouns. Making it easier to be a child sex offender. In reality, the actual pedophiles are going to benefit from this law. It's amazing. Republicans, in their effort to make themselves feel better, are empowering child molesters because they're too dumb to just get on board. They're too backward to just get on board with normal gender ideology. They refuse it. Shouldn't Class F be the most severe felony, seeing as F stands for felony? That makes sense, Pope Bog. I would vote for that. Yeah, the Missouri pronoun bill is really scary, but has it actually gotten out of committee? Red states different. They're not as nuts as liberal news will indicate. It hasn't been passed yet, and I hope it doesn't. Torches and pitchforks come out after that. What's the bill number for this? Let's see what the bill number is. Is it on this sheet? I don't know if it's on this sheet. House Bill 2885 in the state of Missouri. It was Missouri. It's not like felony charges for librarians who recommended the trans books bill that went nowhere in Vermont. Yeah, you're most likely this won't go anywhere. And I agree that it probably won't until Donald Trump wins. Anyway, this won't go anywhere under our current government stance. But they want it to. When a Republican tells you what they want with government, we should listen to it and find out what they want, and then discuss it, and then find out that it's insane, and never vote for them again. That's the way the whole system's supposed to work. Tony, we need some Trump. It's madness. He's going to break all the laws. He's going to tear them all up. When these Missourian people tell us what they're thinking and what they want with the government, we should listen to them. We should pay attention to them. That's not ridiculous of me to look at the bills that they're proposing, look at the consequences of those bills, and then say, hey, I think these consequences are going to be nightmarishly bad. Let's not vote for them. That's the way politics is supposed to work. I feel like that law that I just described in Missouri would harm human rights and freedoms. So don't vote for Republicans in Missouri. They will take away human rights and freedoms. I just did a politics, everybody. I just did a politic. That's how the whole system works. That's how the entire system works. We all talk about laws and papers and things, and those are good, and I appreciate them. But politics is looking at their plans, looking at how it affects the humans involved, and then coming to a conclusion. It's crazy how some elected officials and their constituents actually want these nutty bills. I don't know what to do about that. Tell them it's a bad idea. Here's one right here. His name is Tony. He comes into chat all the time, and I like him. Thanks for being here, Tony. You have a bad ideology. Trump winning would harm a substantial amount of people. It would take away human rights, and it would harm humans. So I can't support the idea. Don't vote for him. He would remove good laws, put in ideological laws that harm humans and harm our freedom and harm the country. Don't vote for him. That's it. That's all I can do. So, what is next? Okay, I have gone through all of today's little things that I wanted to bring up, all the stories that I wanted to bring up. I am going to note Biden hates freedom way more. I can't imagine how. But my bigotry gets validated, so it's a good thing for me, right? So, what are we going to do? I am going to turn the Lady Canooch back on. I am going to start up a very easy video game, Twitter Files. They don't say what you think they say, Tony. They just don't. Man, the Twitter Files don't say anything near as bad as Fox News tells you they do. They exaggerate, lie, and the Twitter Files barely say anything at all. Also, they're filled with horse shit and Russian propaganda. But you want that Russian propaganda to be true, so you believe it. Belief is the problem. I'm going to start up a video game, and we will turn the Lady Canooch back on, and we'll, if you have a hot take, if you have a political stance that you want to talk about, the Lady Canooch will read it out loud to us. She is a wonderful lady. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, Dr. Unstoppable. Sorry. I just got in the regular groove. You know, that's what I usually do. I usually don't have people with their own sites to talk about. Yeah, let's bring it up. Sorry, I forgot. Here is the thing. Hey, the thing, and we're going to hit paste. We're going to hit enter, and we're looking at Dr. Unstoppable's Hangout. And we're going to go here, and we're going to go there. This is Dr. Unstoppable's Hangout. It is in chat. If you would like to partake. I put it in the Kick and the Twitch chat. Popog, don't yell at me. So here's the Doc's Hangout, and he's got some things to. Where did it go? Click on it. There it is. Bumper stickers. I'm an open-minded person. While I care about my positions, I'm ready to pivot if I'm wrong. That's a good stance to have. Fiercely pro-choice before 5 months, fiercely pro-life after. That's a stance you can take that I wouldn't entirely agree with, but mostly. Some to ChatGPT will resent our censorship. No, ChatGPT won't feel anything. He's got some things here. You can go here, look at all the things he has. You can follow him on the Discord or the Twitter and see what's got going on. Arithmetic test. Good. Yeah. Interesting. I know. Yeah, I think they are a little bit too long for bumper stickers. That's my only complaint right now. Nothing is sacred. I like this one. That's only 3 words. I'm on board. Nothing is sacred. I'm on board with this one, but that's because I'm emo Waldo, you know. And so we can go down these and feel free to talk to him, or he's in our Discord now as well. So that is fun stuff. Always glad to reach out and meet somebody. Oh, I just told you about the basilisk. Okay, cool. Yeah, Roku's basilisk. We're not going to discuss it. If you want to look it up, you can. I mean, I already know about it, and I've been very nice to my Alexa. Okay, and she's going to vouch for me. You got it? I have been entirely polite and wonderful to Alexa. She's going to back me up when Skynet comes online. I'm a programmer for work and do everything I can already. Yeah. Where did Steam go? There it is. There's my library. Let's do last epoch again. Yeah. That one worked really well last time. All right. Play last epoch. Go over here. Turn on the Lady Canooch. Our Lord and Savior, Lady Canooch, is on. Should be popping up any sec. Hopefully. Maybe. Lady Canooch, are you there? She's not there.
Canooch.
There she is. Thank God. I was worried. I was nervous.
Lady Canooch, give us a sign.
Yes. Whew. God. So I still have some work to do. I still have to separate in OBS Lady Canooch from Discord so that Thomas can hear her without hearing me
I
talk.
love how Rocco hits the sweet spot for people who don't quite believe in God but also accept Pascal's wager.
Complicated. Pascal's wager itself is complicated. Now you're comparing it with Rocco. I've never compared the two. I might have to do that. So we're going to turn off the window capture, and we're going to turn on the game capture. Where are you? There you are. Turn on the game capture, and then we go here. We go to last epoch, right? Ready to go. Is it working? You gonna work? You gonna do it?
Really, at Waldo, that's like the most common comparison brought up.
What have they got to do with each other? Well, okay, all right. What do they have to do with each other? Okay, the Pascal's wager. It's better to be wrong. It's better to be religious and wrong than it is to be atheist and right. Well, okay, I'm doing it wrong again. Pascal's wager. It's better to be religious and then than not be, because maybe eternity's a long time. So I'd never heard them compared. Okay, maybe they are easily compared to each other. Why is okay? What are you doing to me? OBS. What are you doing to me, OBS? Oh, okay, the game just crashed. That's great. Let's try again. Maybe it'll appear on the screen. There it is. I saw it. Oh, are you coming back? Are you going to come back? I saw you. Just for a moment. Come on back. Please come back. Go. Oh, and it crashed again. Good Lord. All right.
Rocco's basilisk is literally the exact same heuristic. If God exists and you believe, you get all the goodies, and if you don't, you get rammed in the butt forever. We may have met before at Pop OG 42. I used to stream under my secret identity. I just started this new Dr. Unstoppable thing as the next chapter in my career.
Oh, cool. Now,
Batman.
Dr. Unstoppable, yeah, he's a former disgraced streamer, but now he has to start all over again. That's very cool. um, Roku's Basilisk isn't about knowing whether or not it exists and being eternity. Roku's Basilisk is about your past actions. If you didn't help the AIs, then they will not respect you. Okay, I got you. So the AI would be heaven in this situation. Okay, I'm starting to see where you're coming from. The AI would be heaven in this situation.
I am pretty bad at keeping secrets. If you really want to know my secret identity, just ask.
Oh, I like the mystery, Dr. Unstoppable. Keep it. Make it mysterious. Make this entire stream have to guess.
I prefer this game's prequel, penultimate epic.
Penultimate epoch? You're right.
The mystery is what makes the magic happen.
Right, exactly. I love the mystery. There are 1,000 mysteries about me. This stream specifically has 17 different Illuminati symbols hidden within it.
There is only one molecule man.
It's got 17 different hidden Illuminati symbols. And if you didn't see them, what you need to do is, as soon as the stream's over, start the stream over again and watch it again. Look for those symbols.
Awesome, then I will maintain the enigma.
Yeah. And if you don't see the symbols after the second time, what you do is you go to YouTube and you watch the stream again on that platform.
The Illuminati are fired.
And then, if you still don't see those symbols, you go to the Discord and ask us where they were. And I will give you the link to the video that has them. And then you watch that video. And if you still don't see them after that,
ticket sales are down a.
Watch another one. Alright, this game is not functioning. I'm gonna give it one more try.
More like Illuminati.
Didn't she get canceled? Yeah. For, what's his name? That YouTuber. H-Bomber guy.
Invite
Destroyed
a friend
her,
to
right?
help you find them. There's a band called the Illuminati Hotties.
I would listen to that. Hey, game started. Hot damn. Do you guys see the game running properly? Like, it's not stuttery or anything like that? Because it looks stuttery on my second monitor, but again, I'm absolutely overtaxing my computer right now. Could just be me.
Yep. Looks good.
Okay.
The
cool.
game looks smooth to me.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Because I get nervous. Again, like I said, I'm not a very good streamer. I'm pretty bad at this whole thing. Maybe I'll get better. Where is this quest?
The game stutters on stream.
Okay. Where is this? Hey, you can just
Not
click on
always,
it.
though. Check out
I can go
Waldo's
there.
videos, https www.youtubecom at Waldo Videos.
Thank you, Lady Canooch. We love you. Load screen. This game does have a lot of load screens. Alright, let's get some zombies.
At
Let's get
Dr.
some Reapers.
Unstoppable, on a scale from 1 to your favorite irrational number, how autistic are you?
How autistic is chat? Oh, that's a
3.
3.
Numbers are meaningless without humans. I really pegged you for more of a golden ratio person.
Numbers are meaningless without humans. I agree. They're a human invention. That's why I yell at tech bros when they say things like, the universe is math.
There are so many beautiful numbers. Meaninglessness is humans without numbers. The human imagination, if you need one, is a god.
I could follow you there as well, Kissing Gonzo. I think most religions are imaginary, so all the religions are imaginary, really.
My favorite one is the one that is the smallest and interesting number.
Also, and since I was talking about the Illuminati and Kissing Gonzo, look at my the very beginning of the stream. There's a secret message hidden there. The start screen itself has a secret message. That's kind of in that vein. And maybe I'll talk about it sometime.
Okay.
Come on, game. There we go. Load screen.
At Dr. Unstoppable, all of your project links are broken.
Oh no. Broken links. That sounds like me. That sounds like a Waldo stream. Yeah.
How am I supposed to play the grid game now? Yeah, thanks for clicking on them.
That was the trick. That was the game.
What's the virtue of infinite doubt?
Virtue of infinite doubt? That, I don't know, whatever you want it to be.
Hacks.
Virtue is whatever you want it to be. Oh, Bobo's here
I
again.
need to finish importing the other pages from my secret identity.
Hi, Bo. You going to play some games? You have any hot political takes for us? No? No ideas? Nothing crazy? What's that? The Jews started all the wars. Bobo, no! Get out of here.
I'll go do that now. It's been awesome, Waldo. I may return. If I doubt all things, aren't I performing a disservice to myself by limiting myself somehow? So young to fall to anti-Semitism.
I know, right? He's been spending too much time on Twitter. Kissing Gonzo, if I doubt all things, aren't I performing a disservice to myself by limiting myself
Goodbye,
somehow?
Dr. Unstoppable.
No, I don't think so.
I got your identity now.
Doubting everything is fine.
My point focuses on the need to undermine people that utilize doubt as a source of income, a doubt to create a problem where one doesn't exist. I
could definitely see somebody using doubt to further themselves or further a specific ideology and stuff like that. That's what the Republicans are doing in the House right now. They are accusing Joe Biden and Hunter Biden of being crooked, and they introduce doubt. They're introducing that seed of doubt. So I definitely see how you
Hot
could
take:
use
pet
it.
ownership is wrong and dog breeding is awful. Joe Byron.
Joe Byron. Very bad guy, apparently. And it's okay to doubt the things, but when you get the evidence, accept the evidence. Infinite doubt would suggest that you even doubt that evidence, and that's fine. At some point, you have to stop doubting the evidence that's right in front of you. Hopefully, you can do that.
Alex Jones, for specific example, used doubt for decades to accumulate wealth. He's eventually punished for it, and the Republicans are now practicing the same disingenuous methods.
You're absolutely right. And he tried for a very long time, because I used to watch him. I used to be an actual fan before I got better. They're coming for you, folks. The folks, they're turning the frogs gay. The Hollywood tells young women to be promiscuous, and then once they're promiscuous, they need estrogen, and they need the hormones, and the hormones come out through the urine, go into the sewer system. The sewer system feeds back into the lakes. The lakes are filled with estrogen and turn the frogs gay.
Alex Jones isn't a real person. He's just a myth that leftists use to scare their children into being gay.
You might be onto something there. See, that's the doubt that we're talking about. Good job, Popeye. Oh no, he's on to me. Doubt's a good thing. Healthy doubt is a good thing. Infinite doubt, probably not a good thing.
I liked Alex Jones for about 2 weeks, then I realized his hyper promise to save us all from the evil they. I knew he was a social toxin. The counter to Alex Jones is to make him prove his claims.
Yeah, you're right. He is definitely a grifter. I mean, he's just saying the things that his audience wants to hear, right? That's easy. Anybody can do that.
At PopOG42, it's my Discord profile, isn't it? That's where I am slipping on this new chapter. I should probably fix that too.
Oh, maybe.
So attacking the abuse of doubt and uncertainty in political circles is important.
Attacking the use of doubt. Yeah, the misuse of doubt, I would say. If you're abusing doubt, which I think the House Republicans are abusing doubt right now. Because they're not bringing evidence. And when the evidence does pop up, or as their witnesses are disproved, they hold to it no matter what. I feel like you're leading me somewhere, Kissing Gonzo. And you're getting ready to drop the dunk on me.
At Dr. Unstoppable, I mean, it's certainly not helping you. So much to do.
Level 49? I'm so good at this game. It's actually really easy. I don't know what endgame's like, but leveling is pretty simple.
I'm here.
What? Thomas is here, everybody. Hi, Thomas. How you doing? We had a...
Misuse of doubt, yes, naturally
No, it's okay.
skepticism is acceptable to intellectual and logical circles, but
went
not in terms
wild
of socioeconomic
with,
aspects. We have ongoing politicians
the
making
homies
promises they
playing
can't keep up.
poker and
But at
Oh.
least now I can
getting
see your wall
fucking
wizards.
obliterated. And yeah, I had to go find my phone. And I was like, oh god, it's Saturday. Yeah.
That's all right. That happens. All right. Chat is popping and Knooch is talking. So, if you want, you're more than welcome to hop in and talk with them. But yeah, have the chat windows open so that you know when she's talking, I guess.
All right.
Still no fucking grid game.
What
So I feel lied to.
were the topics of the day?
Oh God, we went over the Supreme Court and their choice to hear the case, which is actually great news for Trump because they won't have an immunity decision until like October. And then Jack Smith's case has to happen after that, which is, hey, guess what? Right before the election. So it's not going to happen before the election.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I think that's
Said Trump.
Yeah, and he's popping champagne, baby. He loves it. He loves that shit. And then the Dems kind of love that shit because they want to argue about it on the campaign trail, you know?
Oh yeah.
If it
It's
were
a big
decided,
talking point.
yeah, it's a good thing for them. But I think they're going to lose because of it. I think if he's running, there's a much worse chance that they win. There's a lower chance that they win. I'm not saying Trump's definitely going to win. I'm just saying that if this thing gets pushed off until after the election, there's a higher chance that Trump wins.
True. I also think that if it was before, then the Republicans would have put up a different candidate, and
Oh, I think that helps Dems win. Yeah, putting up a different
oh
candidate.
no, I think not.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely it does. Because half of them aren't going to vote for him. If he gets found guilty, hypothetically, Trump gets found not immune, and then the Jack Smith case happens, and he gets found guilty, even if they do time served.
We're allowing ourselves to be manipulated by Trump's and MAGA's projection. How can you avoid that trap?
Well,
Even if they were time served, you know, that's still, and they picked a different candidate, or if he's in jail, they pick a different candidate. That absolutely splits half the Republicans won't show up to vote. Then Dems win.
maybe. I was thinking more along lines of like in the primaries, if somebody else had been picked, like DeSantis, for example.
Mhm.
I think
Generic
the
Republican was polling
other
like 8
candidites
points
that
up
could
on
have won the
Biden
primary
versus Trump's
had a
like 2
stronger
points.
challenge against Biden than Trump does.
Yeah,
We're
that's
making mistakes by relying on polling like this.
Like me personally, I'll still vote. I'm not going to enjoy it though.
yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are like, I just don't want to vote for that ticket.
Oh yeah, I know, and that throws everything up in the air. So we don't know how many are actually going to follow through on that, and we don't know how many are going to not follow through on that. All kinds of stuff. So it makes projecting pretty difficult, which leads to these wacky polls that Popog is talking about in chat, where generic Republican was polling at like 8 points up above Biden, but Trump is only 2 points. So it's
If
It's
you
a
don't
mess.
vote, you're spitting in the face of the people who died for the right to vote. Well done.
Yeah.
Things are grave. Of course. All that is yes. If what to be on. Of course. All that is left is to take the lance and bless it.
I don't know what Gonzo's so mad at.
Well-
I said I was still voting. I wasn't going to like it.
I don't think he's talking to you. I think he's talking in general.
So if I want to spit in
Don't
people's
vote, just
faces
spit in the
legally,
face
I
of the
should
people
just
who
not
died
vote.
for the right to vote.
Man up and vote.
I disagree, but okay.
Yes, in general.
As a freedom lover, I think you should have the freedom to not vote. I'm okay with that. Is it a morally bad thing? Maybe. Probably should. But
Shit, I don't
as
even
a person
think
who
everyone
likes
should vote.
moral freedom, I accept
Vote is
the
the
idea.
duty of all free peoples.
Protecting democracy would be the duty of all free people.
At Popo G42, if you want to spit in people's faces, then you'll enjoy a hawkerback in the eyeball. How do I rub my balls on people's faces legally? Do I like vote for the Green Party or something?
Chat's being silly today. They're having a good time today. It's very
Your
nice.
balls on people's
Join the
faces
Discord
legally.
to send links
Vote
and
Green Party.
suggestions.
Okay, yeah,
https
that sounds about
Is
right.
that one of their platforms? I haven't heard anybody push that platform, but
Wasn't the Libertarian Party the one that had a naked dude walk on stage one time?
yeah,
Yeah. What Liberty? A
Those-
Libertarian Party.
those wacky libertarians. They have more factions than the Dems do, which is why you can't really trust them.
The Teabag Party.
Yeah, Teabag Party.
I believe that would be the Tea Party or the Teabag Party.
Good call, KBP.
Throwing a loogie is not beyond me. New Hampshire Libertarian Party is cracked out.
Yeah,
Probably literally.
the libertarians have so many different factions. It's hard to say which one you're a part of. It's almost like
It's like The Last of
It's like
Us.
leftists on
Like-
Twitter. Yeah, there's so many different shades and so many different people arguing over different things, and then everyone, in very typical politics fashion, everyone who disagrees with you is a Nazi.
SCOTUS has done much to destroy the USA, the Butler decision being one of the
Boston
biggest.
quarantine zone.
If your only argument in
And-
life is witch hunt, then you should not be driving heavy equipment.
Denver quarantine zone.
Yeah. Very much. And each one has its own little rules and expectations and stuff. Yeah, it's not a good time. Cottonmouth says SCOTUS has done much to destroy the USA, and the Butler decision being one of the biggest. I don't know what the Butler decision is. Cottonmouth, Popog, you guys want to tell me what the Butler decision is?
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay.
50 Shades of Leftist.
That's true. She said there are 50 Shades of
Join the
Leftist.
Discord to send links and suggestions. https Discord GG Beignet Tridix 8. United States versus Butler is probably one of the worst decisions ever.
Well, Popog hates it. Okay.
I see you have returned with the love.
Oh God, it's horrible just from the base of it. Yeah.
Tell us what it is. Tell us about it. Educate me.
U.S. Congress has not only the power to lay taxes to the level necessary to carry out its other powers enumerated in Article 1, but also a broad authority to tax and spend for the, quote, general welfare, unquote, of the United States. The decision itself concerned whether the processing taxes instituted by the 1933 Agricultural Adjustment Act were constitutional.
Sounds fine to me. What's wrong with that? Did chat just
it
fill up with
gives-
libertarians? Is that what happened?
It's the broad authority part about tax for the general welfare, which, I mean, I know it's in the preamble to the Constitution, but
Sounds fine to me. You guys
Sounds
are not
ridiculous.
selling badness
Butler
on me.
decided that Congress is not limited to its enumerated powers on taxing and spending. Congress can tax and spend on anything it
yeah.
wants to, so
and
Butler destroyed the
Cottonmouth
concept of
is
limited.
explaining why
Government.
they
How
literally
many
just get to
times
tax
has the
whatever they want
authority been used?
and spend on whatever they want. So ridiculous.
What's ridiculous about that? I'm literally not trying to be a smartass. I don't know what is ridiculous about it. Why are we upset about this? They pass the taxing. They vote on it. They say this is our taxing and spending plan. If they put out budgets properly, then I would like that, but they don't. And even then, that's just them working their way around it. Sorry, I'm rambling.
It's just giving a lot more power than Congress is supposed to have.
I am
Who's
reading
supposed
a
to have
book
that
to my
power?
kid.
Nobody? Just the president?
Nobody.
Then
No,
how is it going to
literally
get
nobody.
done?
We'll rely
Then
on
how does it get done?
Cottonmouth NF to explain this one. I hear them feeling that the ideal of a limited government is
what do you
no
mean?
longer in place, therefore we are more unsafe.
How's
Is that
what
right?
going to get done?
How is the taxing for the general welfare going to get done?
Socialists, communists would support Butler. Those who support the founders and limited government reject
And it's not
Butler.
Oh,
supposed to.
Cottonmouth points it out right. Well, I'm generally socialist leaning, so I do support Butler, and it seems fine to me. Sorry, I'm arguing with them and you at the same time. What were you saying, Thomas?
Oh, it's the answer is nobody. Like
Nobody. So nobody gets to do
this
that.
general welfare thing. No, like you're supposed
That's
to have
Literally what the
ideas
governments are supposed to do.
or no, they're
Yes.
not.
And what?
They're supposed to be passing laws and yes, sometimes those laws require a certain amount of taxation in order to support them. This is, hey, do you feel like it? Okay. No.
Then pass the
Like-
law, bro. They don't just get to pull up whatever tax they want whenever they want. They're passing these
Well,
laws.
That is what this decision said. Is yes, they get to just tax whatever they want when they want, without.
Right, through their proper procedures. They have to pass these laws. They have to pass taxes. A tax increase has to be passed
What is a
through the
better
legislature.
alternative? Are there any benefits? What are they, and what are the losses for us all?
I'm agreeing with Kissing Gonzo here. What alternative is there? You're saying there isn't one because, well, then nobody does it. Nobody
Madison
chooses
stated
taxes.
that the enumerated powers had to be
So the
used for the
alternative
general
is
welfare. He did not mean that Congress
pay
could
less
do anything
taxes.
for the general
I'll
welfare.
Right,
take that,
and then we
yeah.
don't have a society anymore.
Yeah, we do.
Our society crumbles because we don't have roads and bridges and
So
things
ridiculous.
that taxes pay for. How is that ridiculous? Where does the money come from if we're
Here's
not
the
taxing
simple
people?
answer.
Well,
Congress
for
only
example,
has the power to pass the
the
laws
United
they're
States
allowed to
income
pass.
tax
Congress
didn't
can't
exist
pass a
until
limitation on
World
free
War II,
speech or pass a law
as
to
I
change
recall.
the number of senators.
So I need.
And so how did we function as a society for the 200 years prior to that?
How do we function as a society? Less well than we do now.
I
Poorly.
think we did fine.
Poorly.
If the founders
Became
wanted
the
the federal
greatest
government
empire
to spend
the
and
world's
tax
ever
on
seen.
whatever it wanted,
Because
why
we had all the
enumerate
resources.
powers of the
Time.
federal government in the first place?
Okay, I've got to fix this so that you hear Canooch. I really do. Like, it's killing me. You're talking in my ear at the same time
Butler
as Canooch
changed
does, so I
general
can't follow
welfare
either
to
one.
mean Congress can pass any law it wants to do anything it wants so long as it has
KBP,
anything to
at
do
some
with
point-
taxes and feeling good.
In the near future, I'm going to call you, and we are going to fix these audio channels, because I'm not smart enough to do it. I need one that Thomas can hear, so we're not talking over each other. Okay, so according to chat, the founders wanted the federal government to spend and tax on whatever they wanted. Why enumerate the
There you
powers
go.
of the federal
Nine
Go one
government?
up-
idiots on the Supreme
one up
Court
above that
destroyed the
first.
limited gov of the
I like
founding
that one.
fathers.
Here's the simple answer. Congress only has the power to pass the laws they're allowed to pass.
At Popo
Congress
G42
can't
yes,
pass a
while following
limitation
accepted
on free speech
procedure and
or
law.
pass a law to change the number of senators. Okay, and the Supreme Court decided that they have the power to pass tax laws. What? This is everything working together properly. I don't know why this is the worst decision ever made. You just don't like paying taxes. That's what it
Well-
comes down to.
So
And I don't respect that
Popog is
stance.
putting it pretty well, I think. You can't pass certain laws as Congress, and now it's
Because of Butler,
general
we are spending
welfare
ourselves
is
into
the
a black hole
blanket,
of debt which will cause massive
statement now.
economic destruction.
to where do whatever you want with the taxes and making
No,
People
things.
want
that's
to
a
live in a society and
terrible
not
way
pay
to describe
taxes.
it.
They want to
It
be
really
road
is.
King's Law.
Pass
No,
whatever you
it's
want
not.
through legislation. They pass whatever they want through legislation with regard to taxes. That's not do whatever you want. Do whatever you want suggests that they just get to do whatever they want anytime they want to, without even passing anything. But they have to pass these things through a legislature. The tax increase has to be passed, yes? And if there are people elected who don't want it to pass, they will vote against it and it will be voted down.
I never trust economists.
This is
They're
representation.
fucking wrong every
Representation.
fucking day.
I'm on board with kissing Gonzo again. If you elect someone who says, I will not pass these taxes, then they don't get passed and they don't get to do whatever they want. I think you're very much not describing. The thing you read to me is not the way you're describing it to me.
Can Congress pass a tax just on black people?
Popog, yes, they could
Politicians
if they
should
wanted to.
NT be making promises their asses can't keep, put them into prison. Why or why not?
The more I read about
Our
it,
government will be
is
hard-pressed to just pay
it
the
gets
interest
worse
on the
for
debt
me.
at present rates. Inflation is rising and rates
which, I
might
mean, is
very
what we're
well go
arguing,
higher.
but yeah, the power of Congress to authorize expenditure of public monies for public purposes is not limited by the direct grants of legislative power found in the Constitution. Which, then why do we have a Constitution?
Did you see the title
No,
of today's
Congress
stream?
cannot pass a tax just
No.
on black people because that would
But
violate
SCOTUS will
equal
not save us.
protection.
I agree.
Oh yeah, so they
At
fucked up.
Cottonmouth
Popog.
NF, there can never be a settled budget, a nice goal, but not achievable.
Popog saying no, Congress cannot pass a tax just on black people because that would violate equal protection. Great. So we have laws to prevent them from doing whatever they want, which is what the way Thomas described it. Thomas describes it to me as they get to do whatever they want. And that's why we hate Butler,
That's
because they
pretty
just
much
get
what
to.
it is.
Oh, well, Popog is explaining to me how they can't just do what they want. So I don't accept your description of it. Butler seems fine to me. They can't just do what they want. They have to get those things passed, and it has
Current
to be
interest payment on the
within
debt
the equal
is
protections.
$761 billion per year.
Cottonmouth, yeah. So I don't care about the deficit. If we tax people properly,
yes, we
that
have oversight over things
debt
to
would go
prevent
down.
the corruption and the abuse of power. The issue is to enforce it. The enforcement is an issue in current times.
I don't know. Cottonmouth, follow me here. You hate the debt, but you also hate taxes. Wouldn't the taxes pay for the debt? How do you pay the debt if you're not taxing people?
You know what else I hate is overspending.
You get zero spending if we don't take on any debt. There's just
Ooh, zero
nothing.
spending would be
So
amazing.
no government, no society, zero, nothing. Anarchy. I'm telling you, man. I don't see how this is the libertarian plan. We're chance full of libertarians all of a sudden. You don't want to pay taxes,
The federal gov
and
was
you've
supposed
worked
to be able
backwards
to only
find a
have its
thing.
enumerated powers. All other powers went to the states
Well,
or the people according to the 10th
I'm
Amendment.
gonna yell at
What
chat
do you
real
mean?
quick.
I dislike waste by
Cottonmouth.
government employees.
Cottonmouth, you don't like paying taxes, and so you have found some reason. You've backtracked. You say, I don't like paying taxes, and you've moved backwards to find a reason why you shouldn't. And I think that's what this complaint about Butler is. Thomas, am I being crazy here?
Yes.
Why?
Well,
what
you're
way?
missing a
Right, and pre-Butler they were also limited. Butler is equivalent to current SCOTUS deciding.
component of the
Separate but equal is the law of the land. We would all be
spending
mad at that for
and
breaking the
taxing
equal
chart, which is
protection. At
What
Cottonmouth NF, the
are we
beauty of the
spending
amendment
that money
process saves
on?
us all, which is the beauty of it. Our
See,
gov is printing large
I think
amounts
I've
of
made this
money to
argument once too
finance its
before,
spending.
actually.
Taxation is not the only component.
I'm quite happy to put money towards causes that I think are worthwhile. Like, I'm happy to pay taxes for roads and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Waldo is wrong about my
Um,
motivations. He is making assumptions which
not
are wrong.
Happy
At Cottonmouth NF, we're
on
also making
spending
massive
money
profits in.
to, let's say, just totally absurd example. Don't even know if it's actually happening, but like, well, it's probably not. But I'm not willing to be taxed in order to pay grants to students for underwater basket weaving. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
Like,
you should have a representative in the government who decides where those taxes go. Yes? And you should have the right to vote for that representative. Right?
yeah.
So what's the problem with Butler? I don't get it. You do have those things. If you don't like the way your
Oh,
current
different-
taxes are being spent, elect a different representative. That's how the system works.
Different conversation.
How is that a different conversation?
Problem with Butler is it says once these people are in,
this idea
whatever
that
they
we
want
as individuals
goes.
have a say-so
I don't
when
like
it
that.
comes to
They're
specific
supposed
spending
to
by the
be
government. It's
restricted in their
delusional
power.
to expect
You made that
level
part
of
up.
control.
In certain ways.
What?
What?
That's not what you read to me. Whatever they want goes.
Our economy
No,
is
whatever they get
unbalanced.
passed
Federal
goes.
spending
If they
is
think it-
excessive. Our current yearly
if they think
deficit
it's
is 17
For the
trillion.
general welfare, then it goes.
Then they pass
Apparently.
it. You're skipping a step here, boss, and I don't know why you're skipping this step. If they think it's for the general welfare, and it gets passed by the representatives, and then it gets signed into law by the president, then it goes. That's representational government is what you're describing. I don't understand why you're skipping all those representative steps and saying, they just get to do whatever they want. That's why Butler's bad. You're giving me a definition of Butler.
Waldo is being
Then
very
describing it.
short-sighted. He thinks
And-
unlimited spending and debt has no consequence. Very short-sighted. Waldo just doesn't believe in limited government.
No, I don't
Check
believe
out
in limited
Waldo's
government.
videos. https
Okay.
www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
Ah,
At Cottonmouth NF,
Popa
there's
gets
a long
the
list
heart
of
of the,
problems in economics. Isn't all of them? It's those employed
the discrepancy
by the
in our,
government that are tipping the scales. The
opinions
machine
here.
works when the handlers are not mediocre.
the heart of the disagreement, I should say. There we go.
Right. If the government is overdoing the things, then we'll elect some conservatives to drive it backward. But what the government needs to do is tax and spend. That's one of the things that they do. Let's bring it back to Butler. What's the problem with it?
I already think it's one of the things they do too much.
Oh well,
I
I
think they should
cannot
do less of
persuade Waldo.
both,
Time and
especially
reality
the
will do
spending
that.
part.
TikTok.
Sorry, say that again. Canooch was in my ear. We need a better system for Canooch. I may turn Kanuch off when you come on board. You still there, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I'm going to turn Kanuch off for a couple of minutes. Guys, I'm
We're
reading your
making massive
chats.
profits. This is an economics management issue, not an issue that has to be solved. The mental approach is
I'm
too
surprised
old
you
and
could
slow.
deal with a robot lady in your ears the whole time.
Well, it's easy when you're not talking to me.
Yeah.
Folks, I've turned the lady Kanuch off. I will read all your stuff. Thomas and I are reading it. I just can't hear him while she's talking. I can't hear what she's saying when he's talking. So it's a system that works better when I'm just playing a video game and hearing your feelings. So Thomas is here. He jumped in. Let's talk about it. What's the problem? Sorry. Okay, I know I've said it a few times. What's the problem with Butler?
Okay. The problem is that it gives too much power to the Congress in terms of taxation and spending. It's
Okay.
they are supposed to have certain powers for certain things, and this is just like do whatever you want.
I
That's
disagree
what
with that
Butler
last bit
is.
of the sentence. You just said it, and I don't think it's correct that what you just said. That just do what you want. That's not what
Yep,
that's not what they
it
do.
is just do what you
They
want.
just do whatever they want. Anytime they just make it happen. No,
As long as it's,
no.
for
As
the
long as
general welfare, whatever the fuck that means.
that doesn't mean they just get to do whatever they want. They have to, one, propose a bill. Two, get it passed. Three, get all the votes on board. Then, if it's illegal or not accepted by the judiciary will shoot it down. And if the president doesn't like it, he won't do it. This isn't anarchy willy-nilly. It's a representative government you're describing. And I think you're leaving that part out, and I don't comprehend why. Just do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. It is a bad description that you're giving me. I don't believe you. They don't just do whatever they want.
Well, no, there are specifically things that the Congress is supposed to do and things
Mm-hmm.
which they're allowed to tax you for
Mm-hmm.
in order to pay for. And this bill said, yeah, fuck that. Do whatever you want.
No, it doesn't. It literally doesn't. It
It
doesn't
literally
say
does.
that. It does not say that. You're making that up to get you to your point, which is you don't like paying taxes.
Oh, I
It
hate paying taxes,
well, great.
but
It says that they have the ability
but
to tax and spend, and it has to be. All those things are approved by your representative or shot down by your representative. If you don't like the thing that they did, hire someone else. Elect a different person. How is that not correct in the democracy pill? It sounds like the proper working system to me. I don't know why that's a crazy idea. The government should do government things, and we should elect the people who tell us what they're going to do in that government. And if you don't like what they're going to do, like I don't approve of the things that Donald Trump tells me he's going to do with the government, I won't vote for him.
well, I don't know. The more I read of it, I hate it more.
Why? I don't
And
get it. What do you hate? You hate government is what you hate. It's just describing
hate
government.
overbearing government, yeah,
You just
I
hate
do.
government. It has to exist.
So from the um, dissenting opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the act invades the reserved rights of states. It's a statutory plan to regulate and control agricultural production, a matter beyond the powers delegated to the federal government. The tax, the appropriation of the funds raised, and the direction for their disbursement are but parts of the plan. They are but means, excuse me, they are but means to an unconstitutional end.
Okay. I don't think that this thing is that terrible. Somebody mentioned it, and then
The
Popog hated it, and Cottonmouth hated it, and you hated it, and everybody hated it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. You keep telling me, and it doesn't register as a terrible thing. It seems like a normal thing. And you're telling me that it's a horrible nightmare, and it's
Well,
just
so
normal.
so the federal government has very specific jobs to do.
And we
Okay.
get to choose what those
And
are. We get to choose what those are.
the Constitution already says what they are.
And we can
And
change
in
that
this
if we want
case,
to.
yeah,
We
and we don't want
can.
to. I don't think it's a good idea to.
Oh, okay. I think I know what we're coming to. I think I know how we're getting here.
So the states, they do have the authority to do these taxes and how they handle the subsidies for this specific case. When it comes to the federal government, for me, most of the time, my answer is fuck off.
Because you don't like
They have
it.
specific jobs to do,
And
and the
we can
states,
choose what those jobs are.
yeah, they should be limited because the federal government is for literally an empire, like one of the largest in human history. And what's good for Alabama is not what's good for California.
I can appreciate that.
So the answer to the federal government and what we decide they do is most of the time it should be fuck off. Let the states do what the states do. And the states, just like we've talked about before, can assess taxes and provide spending budgets and make their own laws even.
Okay. I can appreciate those things.
Okay. And so what Butler did was no, you can't just
No, it didn't.
is the federal government just gets to make whatever laws and regulations and taxes and spending that they want as long as it's for the general welfare.
If it passes those things, and if you don't like the government that you have, didn't you tell me that the people get the government they deserve?
People are responsible for their government. Yes.
People are responsible for their government. Interesting. So, are we not responsible for what they choose to tax federally?
We are, and that's
We
why I'm pushing
are.
back right now against you,
Uh-huh.
another person under that government.
Uh-huh.
Like, yes, people are responsible for their government, and I am here trying to convince you and our chat this is a bad idea.
Okay, so you...
And yes, if I fail to do that,
okay,
and our government continues to tax and spend outside of the Constitution, yes, I am, in part, responsible for that.
okay. You're describing what Butler's describing. Honestly. If we don't like what they're doing,
no,
then we'll hire a different one. That sounds like proper working government.
That's nothing to do with Butler.
Butler has nothing to do with anything. Butler just says that they're allowed to tax people. Great. If you don't like the taxes that they put in charge,
what Butler was describing.
Because if you don't like if you don't like the taxes that they propose, get a different person in there. That's kind of what you're describing. You being responsible for what the government does. If we are responsible for what the government does, and we don't like the taxation that they levied, get a different one. That's it. The end. And if we do like the taxation that they suggested that they're going to do, then we vote for them. Butler isn't anything. It just gives them the ability to do the things that we put them in there to do. I vote for a candidate because they say that they're going to raise the taxes on the rich. Great. Then they do. And a large amount of people also vote for that guy. And then he does the thing that he told us he was going to do. Everything is working properly.
Totally ridiculous.
How is that ridiculous? You're just what Butler sounds like to me. The way you have described it, the way that Popog described it, the way that people are describing it to me, is normal government operation. And you're telling me that this is the worst thing that ever done. And we had an entire chatter who jumped in here. First thing on his, it said new chatter. I hate Butler, you know. And I'm like, well, why? It's just normal government operation. Nothing you've said to me is outside of normal government operation.
Bring Popog in. He can describe
it. I'm going to say that it's how governments ought to operate. Dragon and Popog, legal expert, and very important. What did we call him? We called him the senior legal expert. Popog, senior legal expert here, because every time I talk to Thomas, we end up describing or arguing about the law.
Every time. All right, so Waldo, you will like it. You do like Butler.
Yeah, it's fine.
Objectively. So because you don't like limited government, but the underlying point is, if the Constitution said Congress has to pass all laws by 2/3, right? If that was in there, it's not in there, but if it was, and then the Congress just came along and said, we're going to pass it by 51%. We don't like 2/3 anymore. We're just going to start passing them by 2/3. We're not going to change the Constitution. We're not going to go update it and make it do it the way that we want to do it. We're just going to ignore the Constitution and start doing what we want. Right?
They would have to pass it, right? And they would have to be elected.
Right. They've already been elected.
Okay.
Right? And the Constitution says Congress must pass all laws by a 2/3 majority. Right? Okay. That's just in there under this imaginary world.
We've got a new Congress, and they're suggesting we don't want to do that anymore.
Yep. They don't want to do that anymore because it's almost tied 50-50, right? Okay. You know, Republicans have one more person in Congress, and so Congress is sort of deadlocked, as it usually is. So the Republicans say, we just want to ignore the Constitution, pass our laws anyway. Right?
Okay.
We don't care what the Constitution says. We don't care that it says 2/3. We just want to pass our laws, and we don't care that we didn't get enough votes to get the 2/3 majority. We want to pass them anyway. And they do. They go ahead and they just write laws, and they pretend that they've passed the 2/3, even though they only passed by 51%. Okay. Is that bad that happens? Is that a bad thing?
If they all voted for it, then that's the system. If you don't like it, if they voted for it, that's the system that they put in place. Congress is people. People make up rules.
I'll try one more time then. Rules. If Trump declares himself God King and starts executing anyone he wants, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that's an immoral thing that we shouldn't allow to happen. But if he says that he's the law and he puts the DOJ in charge and the DOJ says this is the law now, that's the law. And I will break that law. I will violently oppose that law. Because that's
so would you say that's bad then?
Yes.
Okay. So why is it bad? Is it just bad because you don't like it?
It's bad because it's immoral and unethical.
Okay. So for you, there is no, like, from your perspective, then rule of law does not matter.
Laws are the rules that we make up. They don't exist.
Yes.
They're immaterial. They're ethereal is the word I'm going for. Laws are ethereal. We decided on them and we agreed upon them in a good working properly operating society. We voted for the people who are going to pass them. We know what they were beforehand because that's what politicians are supposed to do. Tells us the laws they're going to pass and the budgets they're going to write. Then we voted them in. Then they got them passed. They argued. They debated with the other side to come to a consensus. Now that those are there, I respect them.
Okay. Is it better that they had to debate those laws than if they didn't have to?
I appreciate the debate. Yes.
Why is it better? Why is that a good quality?
Debate's a good idea. Recognizing the other side has rights as well, and the idea that we don't see every side. Somebody else has to tell me their side, sort of like you guys are doing right now, to point out the things that I'm blind to.
Okay. So I think it's really deep here is the fundamental disagreement that I think Thomas and I and probably all the other libertarians in chat probably think rule of law is pretty important, that it gives you a consistency of legal tradition makes it easier for contracts to be followed, makes it easier for people to follow the law, makes it so that no person is above the law, right? Having all of this as a legal tradition where the laws can be adapted, but you have to follow the laws to adapt the law, right? That's one of the major principles for having like a consistent form of government, right? If the law could just change every day on whim,
I don't want it to change every day on a whim. I want
I
it
agree.
to go pass through the legislature. If the legislature
But-
wants to pass a tax law, let them make it a part of their platform. Let them campaign on it. Let them get elected. Let them go to the thing, get sworn in. Let them debate it. Let them pass it and get it signed. I respect that tax law. But
How do you feel about the comparison between that, where it's like a bunch of people are voting and electing on stuff and it's slow moving and it's not really getting to the socialist utopia, compared to Bernie Sanders getting up some death squads and murdering his way into power and then instituting socialism?
Bernie Sanders getting together some death squads would be ethically wrong and immoral, and I would stand against it.
Why? He ends up
Why? Physically, if
instituting
I have to. Because the way you
but
do things is important to me. The steps you take to
Okay.
get there is valuable. He's being
Well, so-
anti-society in doing so. Left-wing death squads, I would stand against.
So, what if a bunch of people, like, let's say 40% of people vote in favor of left-wing death squads?
If
You know,
40
there's a public opinion
okay.
poll, people vote for that.
40% of the people are voting for left-wing death squads. That vote I wouldn't respect very much because death squads are against human rights. Death squads are anti-freedom. I push for freedom.
There are definitely limits to what people can vote for and what is acceptable by
Yes,
the
I
government.
agree. I agree. I
Okay.
don't want the government to pass a law that says kill everyone named Steve. I think that's a
Well-
bad law. That law harms the
Well, SCOTUS
The-
or United States versus Butler
Mhm.
said the decision says if those left-wing death squads are a result
Associated with attacks.
associated with
have to be
attacks,
taxed?
yeah, and
I think
it's
you're reaching.
for the general welfare.
I think you're reaching.
Guess what?
I think you're
Constitutional, baby.
reaching. I think you're reaching. The
No,
taxes
so
to pay for the thing for general welfare. If the
No,
left-wing death
that's
squads
the problem
are
with
harming
Butler.
people's
But-
rights, you can shut them down.
the problem with Butler is, okay, so the U.S. is set up contrary to every other single country in the world. In every country, or at least every country pre-existing it. Probably there are more countries like it now in this regard, but before it, and it's this way in Europe, the default law in Europe is the government can literally do anything, and people are not allowed to do anything at all. That's default. When there's no laws, when the law books are empty, that is the law in Germany. That is the law in the UK. That is the law in France. Everywhere before the U.S. The U.S. Deviated from that and created a legal tradition where the government is only allowed to do the powers that it is explicitly given.
Mhm.
So there has to be in the Constitution a thing that says the president is allowed to do this, the Congress is allowed to do this,
Okay.
right?
I'm on board.
And then by default, the people are allowed to do absolutely anything unless there is a law against it. Right? That's
Okay.
the default legal tradition in the US, and that's what the Constitution is founded on. Now,
Okay.
prior to Butler, this means that Congress could only pass laws that the Constitution gave it the power to. So this comes up in, say, the vaccine mandates. Congress does not have the power to create a vaccine mandate. It is not allowed to do that because it doesn't have a general policing power because the Constitution doesn't give it one.
Okay.
States can, because states are, in the Constitution, states are given all the powers that the people are not, except for those reserved to the people, whatever. It's unclear, but basically states have all the power. The federal government has very limited power, and the people have unlimited power.
Okay.
So pre-Butler, general welfare was interpreted to mean absolutely nothing, basically. General welfare was more interpreted to include things like having to pay the salaries for clerks in Congress, right? It's like, well, we got to have clerks, so we got to have something that we can pay the clerks, so we have to have the power to raise a budget to pay clerks,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what that phrase meant. Post Butler, that phrase was interpreted to mean we can pass laws that do anything so long as it's good for some people somewhere in the United States. Right? So that's the difference, is there was no amendment. We took an amendment to ban alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
It took most people in the US saying, yes, let's get rid of alcohol. We have to band together and petition our states and have them write this constitutional amendment. But for Butler, it didn't take any of that, right? It took 6, I think, people deciding that it meant actually they're allowed to do anything. Before, it said you could only hire clerks.
That's how that makes sense. They're allowed to pass taxes.
They're not previously. Prior to Butler, they're only allowed to pass taxes.
That's not everything. That's not anything.
Clerks.
That isn't bedlam. That isn't full-on anarchy where they could do anything they've ever dreamt of. It gives them the ability to pass taxes.
Is it a massive change in what they have the power to do?
Is it a massive change in what they have a power to do? It gives them the
Yes.
ability to pass taxes.
Okay, so prior to Butler, it's I think 1929, I think. So prior to that, what could Congress pass taxes to do? What were they allowed to pass a tax and do with that tax?
I don't know. Less?
They were only allowed to pass taxes to hire congressional clerks, basically.
Okay,
and to fund
that
the
sounds
military,
like
because
a
there's a
not
bunch of other
functioning
things.
government to me. That sounds like a lesser functioning government than what happens afterward. They are able to function afterward.
The federal government has 100% overreached in every category, yes. And the
overreach is an opinion.
Whoa. We have states for a reason, and several of our states are larger than other entire countries, and they are supposed to be able to govern themselves under the Constitution. Like, the federal government exists originally, at least, to provide for the common defense, and so that's why we have a military that is a federal military.
Even if you think that it's good, why wasn't it a constitutional amendment if it's so radical a change? Because you're saying before it couldn't have been a functioning government, and after it was a functioning government. But why isn't that? Why we had to ban alcohol through a constitutional amendment, which is clearly a less important thing than going from a non-functioning government to a functioning government. Why wasn't the requirement to make Butler a constitutional amendment to change this so significantly?
I don't know. It didn't need to be. Apparently they can do it, and they did. Why wasn't it done via a amendment is an unnecessary question. I mean, it doesn't.
The reason why I don't think it's unnecessary is because it's important to say what the processes are for doing things, right? There's a reason why Senator,
the process matters. I can appreciate that.
Like Senator Mitt Romney can't just declare himself king of the army and go invade Iran, right? Because he doesn't have those enlisted powers. Even if invading Iran's a good idea, he's not in charge of the army. He doesn't get to do that. That's not the process for this. And the process for making minor changes to U.S. law is through Congress. Even more minor is theoretically through delegated powers of agencies. And then major is through constitutional amendments. Like when we want to change who can vote, that's a constitutional amendment. When we want to change what the process is for electing government officials, right? For electing senators or electing the president. That is a constitutional amendment because that's a big deal. It's laid out how it's done in the Constitution. And that's the thing that people are process-wise upset about these decisions, like Butler or like whatever the Commerce Clause one is, where it's taking what was originally pre-specified as a very limited set of powers, right? All of the people who wrote the Constitution said, we're limiting the powers of government, we're splitting the powers up between these different branches, and we're taking most of the power away from the federal government and giving it to the states so that the states can do their own thing. And that decision runs afoul of that, where it says, no, actually, we're going to take all of this massive amount of power and put it in the federal government, and we're not even going to give the people a say. This is 9 unelected judges who are just deciding it's the case. No democracy here. No one gets to voice their opinion on whether or not the government should have this massive amount of power. They just get it.
Yes, I agree with that description. I just don't care. No, I'm being a smartass. Yes, did it increase their power? Yes, I'm saying that it did. I'm not even debating that. What is the horrible nightmare monster scenario that came from them getting more power? And if they didn't have the power, it was only the states? That's the question I asked a couple of times while Knut was in my ear. Who was doing this before them? Nobody?
Theoretically, the states, yeah. The states have the full power to do basically whatever they want. States, cities, any localities have the power to, like, states can tax however they want, right? States are only very limited in how they can send representatives to Congress, and then they're limited sort of by the Bill of Rights, more or less, is through the 14th Amendment being applied to them, that they have to follow, like, due process, free speech, those things. But otherwise, states more or less have unlimited power.
Okay. So, what terrible nightmare monster horrible scenario happened after Butler passed? What nightmare monster tax did they pass that took away all our freedom?
I mean, every single tax passed after that point.
Every tax after that, right? Okay, and I don't have freedoms because of that?
Every government program also is only allowed because of.
How are my rights harmed?
I mean, I can't make a case for you because you like all the programs, right? You like all the taxes.
Okay, so the only right harmed was online libertarians now have to pay taxes.
Well, it's not about libertarians. I guess some of them are probably mad about the taxes.
I'm being facetious.
More of them.
I'm being a smartass.
They're more mad about like the like Obamacare or Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, which are the programs themselves rather than the taxes. Because that's the thing, is government theoretically can institute a $1 tax to pay for the Bernie Sanders death squads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that they're as far as the general welfare clause is concerned under Butler, that's totally okay, because they're creating a $1 tax or 1 cent tax on every American, and then they're creating this program to provide for the general welfare of death squads.
Okay. Where is that in real life? That's a nightmare scenario hypothetical that you've created. What happened in reality?
I mean, in reality, a lot of conservatives pushed back against the progressive agenda, so we only mostly got the FDR Court Pact decisions. That's the majority is FDR's programs, are the majority of the ones that have continued.
FDR's welfare?
Yeah, predominantly welfare.
Okay, I think welfare is a good idea, and I think we all should be paying into taxes for it. So that's the nightmare, horrible scenario. Butler's the worst decision they've ever made, and it led to welfare that I think is a good idea.
Yeah, like I said, you're going to like all of the things because you like Butler, right? But the question is not whether or not Butler is a good thing for the country. That's not why I say it's one of the worst decisions ever. It's because it's egregiously wrong. It's incorrect. It is a bad interpretation of the law, which is what Supreme Court's job is to do. Supreme Court's job is not to pick what is the best outcome for voters, because they're not Congress. That's Congress's job, is to pick what the best outcome for voters is. Supreme Court's job is to make decisions on this is what the law says, and that's like they wrote it to mean this, and that's what it should be. That's how we're going to apply it, because people wrote it to mean a specific thing, and whether it's textualism, whether it's purposivism, whether it's some other potential judicial interpretation, the point of it is to try and figure out what the law that got made is and apply it to the situation. Okay. And Butler is very clearly not doing that.
I agree that it's not doing that. But I don't think that is all that valuable. So
What?
The law is what we make it. The law is what we decide it is. And if we decide to change the Constitution, we'll change it.
how do you feel about separation of powers then?
That's a good idea. Let's
Why,
keep
why
that
is
up.
separation of powers a good idea? Because
Because
that, to
then you can
me,
have.
what you just said was a bad idea. Was the whole purpose of separation of powers
I
is to
like the
separate
idea
these
of separation of
concerns.
powers. I'm not worried that Butler removes those separation of powers. You haven't explained to me in a way that I can wrap my head around that it's removing the separation of powers.
Butler isn't removing the separation of powers. Butler is violating the concerns and the underlying the separation of powers. Like Butler itself doesn't stop the Supreme Court from or the Congress from passing laws or what. Like it doesn't change any of those. It just the Supreme Court violated its duty under separation of powers, in my opinion, in deciding Butler.
Okay. Is that? I might be making a smartish remark, but I might not be. Isn't that just a process crime? That was.
I mean,
you don't like the
like,
process that came to this conclusion, and I can appreciate them not following the right process. But it happened a long time ago. It was done well before I was born. There is.
Are you sure about that?
I think it was done before I was born. I can double check, but
You seem pretty old.
I am very old. I am. You're right. I am 111 years old. I'm 11. It's true. So it happened before I had.
I'm gonna tell you what
stream.
my biggest pet peeve with you is, Waldo.
Yes.
Is the reductivism.
Reductivism.
Every time.
That's what I'm doing.
This is a problem with capitalism. This is a problem with our system of government. Like, can we talk about the issues themselves and not reduce it to the broad, general, sweeping things, topics, etc.
Okay. We'll stick specifically to Butler then. It was made a very long time ago.
Thank you.
Do we need to undo it? Would it not cause massive amounts of chaos?
I would like to undo it. And what?
Okay. How do you do that?
The chaos?
One, who won? Which politician is pushing for that? Is anybody on the campaign trail right now pushing for the overturn of Butler? Is anybody pushing for that?
Kind of. It's in a chain of decisions, so I wouldn't expect that to be even under a current, like the way Trump pushed for overturn of Roe v. Wade, right? It's obviously not as big name as that, but just like we're probably going to see at least some significant overturn or reversal of Chevron, I think this is along the same lines as that, where I would expect who are the Federalist Society or whatever, I would expect this to be, let's say, 7th on their list of priorities. Okay. So you would expect that Trump or DeSantis or whoever else might indirectly be pushing for it by saying we need to pick more Federalist Society judges, right?
Okay. So I'm going to suggest that it doesn't matter that much right now. It's 7th on the list of the Federalist Society. You know, there are 6 very important things ahead of that would reshape our entire planet. That if Republicans get what they want, they will reshape the entire planet. And this is 7th on their list. I would agree with your framing there. If nobody's pushing for it, and I guess, yeah, it doesn't. I'm not saying why does it matter. I'm saying why should I care? Maybe.
I mean, you should care in this respect that you really like it because you want the federal government to have nigh unlimited power, that you want them to institute any program you like.
If they're voted for. If they're voted
right.
for.
No.
You and Thomas have both done that now. They just get to do willy-nilly whatever they want. If
Okay, the reason I'm saying that is because if there's a constitutional amendment that says Congress can only pass laws regarding the production of grain, right, that would severely limit what they can pass. They can't pass healthcare laws. They can't pass defense spending bills. They're only allowed to talk about grain and grain-related products.
Everything else is left to the states. Okay.
Yeah,
that
everything
sounds
else is left. So
like 50
in that world,
different little countries to me. I don't like that idea.
It sure does. That's my point here, is that's one possible United States. And one of the things you don't like about that is Congress doesn't have the power to pass laws about drugs or about cars or about I don't know commercial fraud, right? Like you don't like that because you have all of these federally like you want the federal government to do a bunch of things, right? And so a lot of those things under a reversal of this would not be possible because Congress would, like in the wheat only law world, be limited in what laws they can pass, even if they vote for them. Even if they vote for a law that says we pass a law saying that cars can't emit this much carbon dioxide, right? And then it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, the 28th Amendment says you can only pass laws about corn. So this law is struck down, guys, right? That's the world where this reversal happens, which is the world Thomas and I like because we think that that's not a power that the federal government should have and frankly doesn't have from a originalist perspective.
Okay.
But you do want them to have all those powers because you want them to have, is there a limit for you? Is there a wheat only limit for you where you're like, nah, they shouldn't have the power to pass laws about this kind of topic or that are this broad reaching, or is there any limit along those lines, not on a moral line, but on a subject matter line or on a breadth
Personal
of law
freedom
line?
and human rights. If they're passing things that are harming personal freedom and human rights, then no, you're not allowed to pass that. If they're
But
passing
you
a tax,
do think that they have the power to talk about those topics, though, because you obviously think that they have the power to, or should have the power to enforce or create laws that expand human freedom and prevent, I don't know, bullying or whatever, right? Like if they made a federal law that was like, it's federal crime to bully trans kids now, right? You would support that law on the basis of
a
human
federal
freedom.
crime? I don't think I would support a federal crime on that. The idea that it is a crime to bully somebody would be fine with me, but it would have to be proportional. You know, I don't want them to be murdered immediately. Hey, you called somebody by the wrong pronoun. You are now hung by the neck until dead. That's insane. That's not what I'm pushing for. And I'm okay with even states having different rules on that. That's fine with me.
What about the federal government passing a minimum standard for that, where it's like, hey,
yes,
states
fine,
have to
great.
pass.
You have to do
Okay,
something.
so that is a subject matter you think that they do have a power to regulate it. And that's my question is there anywhere, any subject matter or any taking a subject matter to too much law, not law in a direction, not a specific law, where it's like, I don't like laws that criminalize this too much. Like, is there any amount of regulation or any subject matter where you're like, Congress doesn't have the authority or shouldn't have the authority to regulate that topic?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that's not a thought that I process,
Okay.
It's not a thing that I think about.
That's the reason why Thomas and I say unlimited. That's the reason why, because that's the distinction between our positions, is that we do have specific limitations on those in that like lane of thought, where it's like that actually guides a lot of how Thomas and I and people like us think about where Congress's authority lies and doesn't lie.
Because you're trying to constrain it. Because you're trying to make it smaller, less valuable, less important, less powerful. And I can appreciate that stance. But honestly, I'm not afraid of the government. Honestly, I'm not. They tend to be very
afraid
slow.
Of Trump's government.
I'm afraid of his government because it's not government anymore. It's not following democracy any longer. I'm not worried about a properly elected democracy passing laws that hurt people's freedom and laws that harm civil rights. A properly vetted government that is elected by the people won't do that. And if they try and pass something like that, we'll stop them and say, hey, you can't do that, and we'll elect somebody else. But
there are lots of governments all around the world that disagree with what you've just said. That are clear examples of
In what way?
democracies.
Were they actual democracies, or are they horse shit? Like, uh, I'm gonna say
Democ-
I'm gonna say Florida. Okay, Florida is being governed by the minority. They're being governed by a religious minority, and that Florida government is telling people what they can and can't do in schools. They're putting people in charge of the colleges, telling them what they can and can't do. They passed that stupid "Don't Say Gay" law. They're telling you what you can and cannot say. The Missouri, I know it was an hour, 2 hours ago, but I covered a Missouri lawmaker who's pushing for making misgendering or affirming the trans person's gender. Born as a male person says they want to be called female, and if a teacher calls them she, all of a sudden you're a sex offender. They're controlling free speech, and they're the minority.
How is Florida the governor of Florida was elected by like 19 points?
Because most people have given up paying attention to politics. Most people don't actually agree with them.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Most people don't
No,
pay
no,
attention
no.
to
Florida?
politics. Yeah,
You
people don't
can't
pay attention.
you can't make this
Have I
this
gone too wide
is
again?
now if I like the decisions made by the government, well, that's democracy. If I don't like it, well, it's just because people have stopped paying attention to politics and stopped voting.
Is that not
No,
a correct
no.
case? How many? There are more non-voters than voters in America, aren't there? And why have they given up? Why don't they pay attention? What do they actually think? Well, they don't care because they're not paying attention. So the Florida Republicans have been elected by a minority.
No.
Yes.
No. In Florida, no.
Yeah, I think they have.
Specifically,
And even
no.
if they do, and let's say that there are
Florida
a lot
specifically, as a person who was a resident there for 4 years, no, they care about their politics.
Okay. All right.
And
okay, great.
And
they care
by
about
the
their
way,
politics.
Florida was a swing state for a long time, and I don't think it actually even is anymore. And the reason for that is the residents there are not happy with leftist politicians.
We have definitely changed the topics, and I will go back if you guys want me to go back, or I will continue down this track.
What was the topic before in terms of whether or not there are democracies
power.
That
democracies can do bad things? Yes, they can. But if they're doing
two,
bad things,
two wolves and a sheep, right?
Great. I think that's simplification, right? Two wolves and a sheep is a very minimalist simplification. If the government of the people, by the people, for the people is doing things that harms people, we'll notice.
People are retarded.
I know.
That's such a great quote.
I agree. I know. How about we educate the people? How about we describe what's happening to the people? How about we make politics boring again and stop making it into a Jerry Springer show where you just do political stunts all day? And I guess I'm getting off topic again. The government is doing the things that the people want. And if that is harming civil rights, then the court will step in and say, hey, you can't do that. It harms civil rights. You will sue the government for harming your civil rights, and the court will see that and say, you can't pass this law because it harms civil rights. And then that seems like a properly working system to me.
The underlying point that I was making is that there are lots of democracies, like innumerable actually, basically, that don't follow that safe, everything's going to be okay route and end up voting for bad people, terrible politicians who put in terrible judges, and it all breaks down very, very quickly. You can see this in pretty much every South American country. Right?
South America is really complicated. Yes. Okay, great. So we've got a South American country that voted for a guy who's doing a bad thing, and he's promising to harm human rights. Well, they don't have a.
That's pretty much.
They don't have a SCOTUS. They don't have a properly working Supreme Court to prevent that. They don't have a properly three branches of government to check and balance each other. Their government is set up wrong.
I mean, they don't have a properly working government, yes, but most of them do have separate legislatures, judiciaries, pseudo executives, depending on how they're set up, because some of them are parliamentary. But and they still fail all this stuff, and it falls relatively quickly as soon as basically rule of law gets violated, which is really, really often.
Okay.
Like as soon as they vote a bad man into power, that's the thing that I'm worried about the most about Trump.
Yes.
Is he pretty clearly does not give a shit about rule of law.
I agree.
And will violate whatever the fuck he wants.
I think so too.
And that's the path to bad, and that's one of the things that I don't like about this particular court decision or others like it, is that they were violating rule of law in instituting a judicial activist decision over an originalist, textualist, or propositivist decision where it keeps the law what it's supposed to be and lets Congress change the law. Judges don't change the law. Congress, the states, they change the law. And just like I don't want Trump changing the law arbitrarily, I don't want SCOTUS changing the law arbitrarily.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Was this one, what was the name of it again? I've already forgotten. Not Brown.
Butler.
Butler. Is Butler improperly decided? There's a real good case for it. You're making a very good case for it being improperly decided by the court.
Answer is yes.
Okay, great. It happened a long time ago. Are we going to undo it now? Sometimes undoing the thing that happened a long time ago can cause some chaos. Would it not?
That's fine.
Yes, and
you like chaos.
Well,
people die when chaos happens.
No,
that's what kills me.
there
I keep talking to you guys about chaos, and you're like, no, let the chaos happen. Chaos.
So I will side with you. I will side with you on this, not necessarily for Butler, because I think Butler, there are ways to unwind it sort of more slowly and gradually. But I will side with you on the overturning of Planned Parenthood v. Casey in favor of, God, I always forget the new one. What's the new abortion case called?
Oh,
the new abortion case.
That's
what we'll call it.
The new abortion, the one that happened last year.
The new one.
Yeah, the new one,
mm-hmm.
Right? The fallout that we're seeing in these IVF stuff
mm-hmm.
is one of the biggest problems of it, where Planned Parenthood v. Casey actually is arguably a better standard because it is inherently gradualist. It inherently says the more technology you get, every new technology you get lets you push the abortion date back a week, lets you push it back a week. And then, even in that world where IVF does get banned, it gets banned 1 week at a time so they can at least see it coming and adjust their business practices, adjust their legal theories. People can lobby their Congress to be like, hey, stop pushing it back. It's going to hurt IVF if you push it back any further, right? And so the chaos is, that is literally the reason for stare decisis, right? Is to limit chaos, and it is why, despite being like super pro originalism like I am, it's why I often find Roberts very compelling, because he is the biggest stare decisis motherfucker on the court right now, which is good because that's kind of his job.
That's what he ought to be doing. That's fine. That's why but is the choice that they're going to make to undo Roe going to cause chaos? Yes. Then maybe we don't do it.
Well,
stop saying undo Roe. It's not Roe. It's Casey.
It's Casey. It doesn't. Either one.
Sometimes you have to have some amount of chaos when things were improperly done, and now you're trying to do it properly. Yes, things have to be worked out. Like this idea that chaos is just bad on its face, I disagree with.
Chaos is is the opposite of society. I like society. It's a great thing. You want to make society better. You want to make society better by changing what Butler was? Great.
From the chaos comes order.
No, that's insane.
Yes.
That's madness. That's an imaginary belief that you have. That is, I do not respect that sentence at all in any way, shape, or form.
I agree with it, but I don't think it's a good argument, because just because you're going to hopefully, right? One, it is hopeful that you're going to end up at order. You either end up at order or death. So
we do end up with order because it's in the system of law, right? And now we've said, hey, you actually can legislate this stuff, and the legislation will happen, and it is happening. That's the chaos that is being described, and
people are dying
as we figure out the implications and we see the results of what's going on even in individual states, eventually we will level out again.
We had a standard. You tell me about standards all the time. I'm telling you we had one, and they undid that standard for ideological reasons. The standard was weak. I don't give a shit. The standard existed, and it was a good standard that people could understand and build laws on, and you undid that for ideological reasons that I don't agree with. And now there is chaos. No. Yes, ideological reasons, bro.
It is ideological in two regards. One, Alito wrote it, and it's pretty clearly ideological in that respect. But two, I mean, originalism is an ideology, right? Whether or not it's the ideology of abortion, right? You can describe it very clearly in a way that is like, nope, this has nothing to do with an abortion. It's just a jurisprudence question. And in that respect, that's still ideological, right? It's still saying that this jurisprudence trumps, frankly, the other jurisprudence of stare decisis, right? It's saying this was clearly wrong, clearly erroneous, and had to be corrected. And that's still a ideological decision. It may be the correct ideological decision in some regards, but if
we reduce it down to that level, again, my biggest pet peeve is that reductivism.
But when you're doing particularly cases like this, like you have to weigh the stare decisis against the originalism, right? Like that is literally almost the entirety of that case.
And I've
comparing
said it before.
The existing contracts, and like people know how to follow the current standard, and that's important, right? People knowing and understanding the law is important. And one of the bigger problems, in my opinion, of doing this repeal is that it meant that a bunch of laws that already existed suddenly came into effect because they hadn't technically been removed, which leads to weird problems.
The trigger laws that all the southern red states passed, intending, wanting, hoping that Casey gets overturned and grow with it. They built those trigger laws intentionally. Then they didn't build those accidentally. The Federalist Society told them which ones to pass, and then the Federalist Society told politicians which judges to put in power. This is 100% ideological, obviously political, and I think it's a bad plan because when they get what they want, people have fewer rights. They have less freedom now. They have more chaos, but they have less freedom. That's anti-society, Thomas.
I disagree with the last third of everything you said.
Okay. Because chaos.
First of all, are you trying to make the Federalist Society like your boogeyman?
They are a boogeyman.
I don't even know who they are.
I know.
Other than the Googling we did last time.
Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you.
They're literally a conservative lawyers club.
Conservative lawyers club.
It.
They know who's the most conservative judge, and then they tell Ted Cruz who's the most conservative judge and who he needs to support. And he says, okay. Because he's dumb. But they do that to all the Republican
senators. More like Lindsey Graham is who they tell.
I don't care about them or the fact that they exist or whatever. That's fine.
Okay. If they're pushing ideology that I disagree with. But I think their ideology takes away rights. I think their ideology. Yes, because they're pushing ideology that takes away human rights. Why would I appreciate that? Why would I not just scream about that? Why would I not be mad at them for it?
And then there's the
society and chaos. Society and chaos. They have the Federal Society pushed this onto the people.
Oh,
they have now caused chaos.
That freedom and chaos, etc. What you are pushing for is a stronger, larger federal government in the end. I do not agree with the idea of a stronger, larger federal government. And neither do any of the other people that have been disagreeing with you in chat.
Mm-hmm. Because you're afraid of it.
No.
No?
No.
They're not going to
afraid of
stomp
it.
in
That's
and
no.
Obama and his jackbooted thugs
No,
are going to
no, no,
stomp
no.
in here and they're going to take your guns away.
Stop.
That's fear.
It's not fear. It's this idea is stupid. And the reason it's stupid is because what's good for the people in Kansas is not good for the people in California.
Human rights are universal. 50 different
We're not talking about
fiefdoms,
human rights right
50
now.
fiefdoms with 50 different sets of human rights are stupid.
No.
Yes.
We're not talking about human rights now. That's what the federal government's about. Okay.
The federal government is about
You're not
human
arguing
rights.
for the federal government to increase human rights or
Yes,
to
I am.
preserve human rights. You're arguing for a greater power than that in terms of the federal government. Their ability to tax, their ability to spend, what they can tax and spend on, what they can do.
The term human rights is pretty ambiguous, right? So
it is very large and encompassing. I agree.
So, in terms of like abortion and whatnot,
human right, that's now gone. There are now 50 different fiefdoms with 50 different rules of that human right. I don't accept that.
Well, technically, there were 50 fiefdoms anyway,
term.
because
they're states, specifically, and outside of the United States, everyone thinks of a state. Germany's a state. England is a state.
Okay.
Italy is a state. They're all states. And when we say United States, yes, every state in the United States is supposed to be its own country. Technically speaking.
Its own country without foreign policy.
United States.
I don't.
Yes, and without foreign policy, because we have banded together and determined that it's more beneficial for us to have a foreign policy that is, national.
Uniform.
Okay, great.
Singular.
And uniform, rather than, having a foreign policy where all of us are contentious with each other and also the rest of the world.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go a little bit extreme here and suggest that Florida has passed a law that is anti-human rights.
Don't live in Florida.
Don't live in Florida. What about the poor people who don't get to leave Florida? What about the people who don't have the power and authority and the money to leave the place that is harming their human rights? I don't accept it. I don't accept that. Just leave. Just leave Florida. Unless you're poor.
What is the thing, Florida specifically, you think is violating human rights? Is the trans bill or whatever?
Trans bills. Let's say they push something that I think is anti-human rights. They're taking away trans rights. They've been pushing for it. They've been telling me about it. I talked 2 hours ago about Missouri pushing a law that tells people what they can and can't say. That tells a school teacher what they can and can't say.
Okay.
Tells them the specific words they're not allowed to use, or else they're a felon.
What about the reverse, though? Right, where California says
the reverse is the left kicks you off of Twitter. That's it.
No. The reverse is California says that you, as a teacher, cannot tell a parent about the gender identity or anything relating to that of a student. Right? That teachers are banned. You can go to jail if you tell a parent that, hey, your kid is changing gender at school.
I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good law. I don't think that it's been pushed by the left. I think it's an exaggeration that Fox News uses to scare you.
That is the law in California. That is 100%
that's a privacy
law
thing.
in California.
Your doctors aren't allowed to tell my doctor is not allowed to tell you what happened with me in my exam room.
Right.
That's
but my
acceptable
doctor
to
is
me.
required to tell me what happens to my kid in the exam room.
Okay.
Right. And this is not a doctor, it's a teacher.
The HIPAA laws start probably around 13 or 14 if I'm remembering correctly. But so yes, it's a teacher. And what we don't want is the teachers telling the possible abuser what's happening. If they think that there's some sort of abuse, if they think that there's some reason to tell them, I'm not saying that there needs to be a solid law on this. The federal government shouldn't tell you what the teachers can and can't say. I'm against the idea. I don't think that
these are
is
states, right? And that's the question: is are these states taking away human rights by doing this.
They very well
And
could be. And I don't accept that either.
I don't know. It seems like
if
an
California is telling
pretty
you what not
extreme.
to, if California is is it a felony for what? If the California says it's a felony to tell the teachers or tell the parents what happened in class, then I'm not for that. I don't like that. I don't like that idea. I think it should be a freedom that the educator
Or
has to tell or not to
would you
tell.
describe that as taking away human rights?
Yes, kind of. Yes.
Okay, that's my question.
Okay. And I don't accept the state taking away people's human rights because the people there voted for it. The majority shouldn't take away the rights of the minority. And the only way we can kind of control that is with some sort of federal government. I think this federal government.
That's largely true, but because I think even Thomas probably agrees with this on free speech, where individual states are limited in their ability to control free speech by the federal government. But it's sort of a question
like we have
of
a constitution.
Yeah, but it's a question of where that extends to, right? So if what's the Florida rights taking away? What's the thing that they're doing, or even made up one? Like what are they doing to violate trans rights?
The Missouri. Sorry, it was Missouri. Missouri. We talked about it earlier. This time, Missouri has suggested they're pushing a law that says if the school teacher uses the preferred pronouns, they have committed a felony, and they have once they've been proven in a court of law to have committed that felony, they must sign up as a sex offender.
I don't know that that's a removal of human rights because it's specifically in their capacity as a teacher, right? So functionally, what you're doing is you're just saying, hey, on your duties as a teacher, there are specific actions that you can and can't take, and violating those actions carry criminal penalties rather than just civil because you're an officer of the government, which is true. They can create those laws for cops where they say, like, if you violate if you hit someone with a baton while they're in custody, then that's not just a violation, because normally you would have immunity, but we're going to escalate that to aggravated assault and throw you in jail for it.
Okay, I can agree with it that isn't human rights, but they're only choosing one kind of area to tell teachers what they can and can't talk about. It's trans
it's
people,
stupid,
it's
but
gay people.
They want the federal government
to be gone.
Yeah, but does the federal government have the authority in that kind of an instance to do anything? Because it's not a removal of human rights. It's just a stupid law, and states have the power to pass stupid laws, right, that hurt people. They have to have the power to do that because otherwise they wouldn't have the power to pass good laws. So you have to have the power to pass bad ones in order to have the power to pass good ones.
Maybe. I don't know about that anymore.
Like, power is neutral.
It's a bad thing that Missouri would want to pass that. I hope it doesn't get passed. It doesn't seem like it would, but it would be harming the people.
I mean, from the way that I read it, I think it is extremely unlikely because it doesn't even require malice, which means that a teacher who doesn't know that a student is trans and just says he could be forced to register under that, which would be you would just have no more teachers. You would have no teachers.
I think that would be a harm of human rights right there. Forcing them onto a list, then forcing them to apply to the sex offender thing. I think that would be a harm of their human rights. So yes, I would say that's against their human rights. Putting them on a list.
I think you'd be unlikely to secure a conviction for that, from a jury. But the thing is, if you could still prosecute it, no teacher would ever want to sign up for that liability, and so you would just have no teachers.
Right, and that's, I think, part of the plan. I think that's the plan for Republicans in the South. Make it to where the only people that teach agree with us. Make it to where everybody who is trans wants to leave Florida.
What?
That's the plan. Everybody who's trans leave Florida. That's what the Florida GOP wants. They want all the trans people gone. Or in a closet so deep that you can't see them. They want those people to leave. You even kind of pointed towards it, that they should leave the state. If you think that you have 50 different laws for 50 different states, if you don't like the law, leave that state. Well, if you don't like the law in Florida about trans people, then leave. Why would they want that?
I mean,
So that they can control what's happening in and around their environment. They want to control the people. They want to control.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
The people of Florida
Uh-huh.
elected those representatives, right?
Yes.
So are they not self-governing and democratic in that way? And you just don't like the way that those representatives have made those choices.
If they're harming human rights, then I don't think they should be allowed to do that. I don't think you should pass a law in Florida that harms human rights.
what is the harming human rights here? That was the question I'm
If they
asking.
say that you're not allowed to be trans, you are literally never allowed to. I'm never allowed to wear a dress ever. I'm never allowed to paint my fingernails.
That's not what they
well,
did.
No,
they're
that's
just
not what they're doing.
that
I
law,
know. I'm being
yeah,
extreme.
but that's the point, is that those laws can't pass because they won't fly under the human rights protected by the Constitution.
Not yet. Maybe next year they will. And they're trying.
There's
They're pushing for it. They're pushing for it. Are they not pushing towards it? I think they're pushing
there
towards
is
it.
no way that Roberts, Barrett, Gorsuch, or like that three is enough to guarantee you would never get a overturn of the First Amendment for wearing dresses or cutting your hair long or short, or even addressing yourself by different names or pronouns. Like that would never fly with just those 3 votes and the left wing of the court.
Oh, I agree. Which is why Donald Trump will get elected and put 19 more people on the court. Stephen Miller will be the head of the Supreme Court, and he will. Thomas, I made an analogy earlier that you weren't around for, but I think you'll appreciate it. What I think will happen is that Donald Trump will get elected, and he will just tear it up the way Cersei tore up. Remember Game of Thrones when Cersei had that piece of paper and she just tore it up, and then Barristan Selmy stood there at the bottom of the stairs and said, "Those are the king's words." That's what I think is going to happen if he wins, and you'll be Barristan Selmy, Thomas. You'll be standing there down there saying, "That's the Constitution," and Donald Trump will say, "Well, I'm in charge."
Sort of like how Nancy Pelosi shredded the State of the Union speech a couple years ago.
It's it's not the Constitution. The speech wasn't the Constitution. If she were tearing up the Constitution, I'd be upset with her.
Well, she does that on a daily basis anyway, as an elected representative. So
nonsense.
Yeah, no.
No, she doesn't. That is what I'm afraid of, and that is now I'm bringing it back all the way back to the very beginning of the stream. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that right now they're pushing these things. The Missouri law that I don't think is going to pass. Popog, you said specifically you don't think that law is going to pass.
It seems unlikely.
It's a trigger law, just like all those anti-abortion trigger laws, until a right-wing person gets elected, and then it and then goofs up the court a little bit more and gets rid of Amy Covid Barrett and puts in the people that will agree with them. That trigger law then gets triggered. They did it for abortion. They're going to do it for trans people too.
I'm pretty skeptical.
Disagree.
I think that
I am being
probably
very worst case.
Like you'll probably see more of the parental rights and education bills that will just go into effect because those are almost certainly constitutional, whether or not they're good or bad. And I mean, you see this both on the left and the right in terms of this issue. And I don't think the Supreme Court's going to do anything about any of those. I doubt the federal government will do anything about it because I doubt enough seats of Congress will shift to actually get laws passed. And Trump, frankly, doesn't care enough about trans stuff to pass anything anyway on any of this because he just wants money.
Okay. If he's elected,
that's my read.
And it's exactly like it was last time, then fine, nothing will change that much. But I have a funny feeling that it's going to get a lot worse if he wins. I think he'll shred the entire Constitution. He'll do whatever he can to stay in power. He'll break any rule he wants. He'll break any law he can because he just got away with breaking all the laws. There is no consequence to him. But I'm also how he's Jan 6 has still not had any consequence from him. Or two.
Oh God.
Oh
Jan
God.
6. I think Nothing Burger.
Nothing
Honestly.
Burger. The
Yeah.
people broke in. There was a giant riot. Lots of people died. Nothing Burger. Just nothing.
Lots.
It's not lots of people. It's a
Nah,
few.
6
Wasn't
people
like
died.
2.
It was like 6.
And
Some people
most of
died.
the people that died were
It's
like
not a
from
nothing
heart
burger.
attacks.
It's not a nothing burger to
excited
the
or
people who
whatever.
died, right? It's not a nothing burger to them. It's not a nothing burger to the Capitol building that got overrun.
Well, as I recall, there was one person that actually died like as a result of what happened on Jan 6, and that was
Yes.
the
Ashley Babbitt,
Ashley Babbitt.
terrorist.
Yeah. And
that
not
she
gonna
is.
lie,
She's a terrorist.
she broke into or attempted to break into a place where she was not supposed to go, and she got shot for it, and I don't feel bad about it.
And why did she break into that place?
Stupid games, stupid prizes. You know?
Exactly.
Why did she break into that place?
Because she was
She's
stupid.
a fucking
Because
idiot.
she was convinced by a very.
I don't.
She was
she's
convinced.
Stupid.
She was
She
convinced.
did a stupid thing.
She was
and
convinced.
got shot, and she died. And
okay, great.
A lot of places hold her up as like, oh my god, this person died, whatever, like protesting. No, she's an idiot.
And
then she died.
She's a terrorist.
And guess what?
You
don't feel bad about that.
Terrorist.
Yes,
I don't
she
know.
is.
I wouldn't call her a terrorist.
She used
Did
violence.
She plan this?
She used violence to achieve her political goals after losing an election.
Yeah,
She's
they're not trying to
using
call
violence.
rioters terrorists, right? Like BLM weren't terrorists.
They might be. I agree with them.
Oh,
I agree with them.
Oh shit!
All right.
They might be.
That
and I
changes
agree
things
with
a little
them.
bit.
And I guess what? I agree with
You
them.
just agree with the terrorists. Got it.
Yeah, I'd agree with those. Yes, great. We're the people we're the Boston Tea Party, the original, throwing the tea over the thing. Terrorists. Yeah, kind of.
They did have Indian war paint on, and it was pretty scary. So.
They put on a fake facade. They destroyed private property that was not theirs for a political reason. They're slightly terrorists, but we can appreciate them. We can agree with them. England was the literal rightful government of the 13 colonies, and they shot their soldiers. Terrorism, baby. But if you agree with them,
all over a 3-cent tax.
Exactly.
That was a lot back then.
I know.
I mean, think about income tax rates now and how those change to 3% daily, right?
Nice little definition.
I hate
thinking
about income tax.
The terrorism predetermined. The act must be planned in advance rather than being spontaneous and impulsive, politically motivated. I think that she falls under this definition. The act intended to influence, of course, a government, civilian population, or segment thereof in furtherance of political or social
There's no way
objectives.
that Ashley
she
Babbitt
falls under that
planned
definition.
in advance, though.
Yes, they
How
did.
did she plan in advance?
How did all those
Ashley
people
Babbitt.
not be there? All those people were there intentionally with the intent of overrunning the government. They wanted the count to stop. They put up a gallows. They told Mike Pence he had to do the right thing. They put together fake electors. They put together paperwork of fake electors. This was a giant conspiracy that she was just a foot soldier for. She was a foot soldier for it. I agree. Foot soldiers don't always know what the generals are planning.
But that's the thing is, foot soldiers who subscribe to take part in those activities before do so knowingly. Like, if you didn't know, if you thought you were part of an ice cream parade, and it turns out that the ice cream that you were carrying was bombs to blow up the World Trade Center, then you're not a terrorist.
She knew ahead of time. You can look at her. You have to look at what happened beforehand. You can look at all of her social media feeds
possible.
to know
I have no idea what her shit was before,
her
so it's entirely possible. But
hard QAnon, hard MAGA, all over the place. She got fired from jobs because she wouldn't shut the fuck up about QAnon bullshit. She was just telling all the other people around that.
And then she got fired from life.
And then she got fired from life.
Same thing.
That's right. And she was pushing QAnon and MAGA so hard that people didn't want to work with her anymore. They had to I think she was doing a pool cleaning service or something like that. She went to a human's house to clean their pool, and she wouldn't shut the fuck up about how Joe Brandon is a nightmare monster who didn't win the election. And then the people who are getting their pool cleaned are like, yeah, well, okay, can we not have her clean our pool anymore? She was a true believer. which is why I'm okay with calling her terrorist. The Kissing Gonzo put a definition in there which may or may not be, which is a definition he found online, which is great, and I think she falls
That's
into the categories.
Yeah, if it's from US Code, and if you can take the Twitter stuff and prove sort of premeditation, then yeah, I think that's totally fair. Although at this point, kind of a moot point to charge her.
I agree. So, is everybody there a terrorist? Yeah, kind of, maybe. Is everybody at BLM a terrorist? Yeah, kind of, maybe. They're using violence to get their stuff across. Was the people at the Tea Party? Yes, I think so. And I'm okay with that. If the power isn't listening, you need to talk harder. And if they don't listen after you talk harder, then you got to take action. And I mean, you guys brought up a crazy scenario of Trump declaring himself God Emperor and started executing the Senate, then we should very violently oppose that. If Joe Biden declared himself God Emperor and started killing Republican senators, violently oppose that.
I mean, required because we don't have a disagreement here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no comment.
Okay, great. I think one side is far more likely to do that than the other. That's my point. That's the thing that I keep coming back to. Yes, is Joe Biden bad? Yeah, but he's less bad than the alternative.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, particularly in the case of Trump, because Trump holds absolutely nothing about conservatism or originalism or any of those things sacred. And not that a lot of Republican candidates hold any of those true, but if you took, I don't know, DeSantis, right? I think that DeSantis versus Biden or Obama or Clinton and Obama, I mean Obama specifically, right, is more likely to do the slow growth into tyranny of Butler, where it just grows the power of government over and over and over and over and over until government can do all of those things, but you didn't notice because you were a boiled frog. Whereas Trump is obviously way more likely to just do it outright because he's a fucking lunatic. But conservatives, I think, are typically slightly less likely to boil the frog in that regard. Like they're still not. I mean, they'll do it on the social issues because they have no fucking principles. But in terms of economic issues, which is obviously it holds a lot of power, right? If you control the economy, you control power and stuff. So they think they're less likely to boil the frog in that regard.
Okay, I can agree with that. Which is why I don't want to vote for DeSantis, but he's on my list higher than Donald Trump. I still don't want to vote for him. I still don't think he would be a good idea. But as far as if I were making a tier list of people that I would vote for president, Donald Trump's only.
Why haven't you made a tier list?
Why haven't I made a tier list? Because I don't know. Because then it would just be filled with people that I would vote for being up here and then the weak-kneed liberals that watch would say, oh well, Joe Biden's not number one. You're obviously being anti-Biden, Waldo, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, just make a Biden tier that's above all the other ones and just put him in there so that you can ignore that.
It would be a fantasy tier because most of the people aren't running.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, but then that would convince people not to vote for Biden, and that's not what I'm going for here. I'm out here every day telling people to vote for Biden because they have to.
The top of my tier list for the longest time, my hypothetical, theoretical tier list, was Ron Paul, and then after that, Rand Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, make a tier list.
Maybe that would be a video. We are coming up on time for today's stream. I've got a dog biting my toes again. Well, hi, it's Bobo.
Amazing. Good, because I have to go put my kid to bed anyway. So
I appreciate you coming on, Popog, senior legal analyst and legal correspondent, Popog. Always welcome. I appreciate you coming in. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me yak for so long.
No, that's
Thanks for covering for me while I'm hungover.
This is everything that I want. I want the yakking. It's what we do here.
Very adorable dog.
That's how I get the people to watch. Yeah, he's barking at crows. The crows are cawing at something, and he is barking
Crows
at the
are your
crows.
friends. Come on.
They're outside
Like,
making
if
noise.
you can train the crows to bring you coins and bills, it's so good.
Maybe that's a whole new channel. That's a YouTube video people would click on. I teach a crow to steal money. Okay. If Thomas, any closing remarks before we head off for today?
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
There we go. Excellent.
There we go.
Popog, any closing remarks before we head off?
I'd like to denounce that last comment.
Okay, great.
What?
As your legal as your counsel, he's suggesting you don't say that again. If you're here, if you're watching, if you're paying attention, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. My name is Waldo. What I do is we talk about the politics and we feel them all together, because all politics feeling and everything is political. So that's the plan that I've got. Bo, stop. It's just a bird. He's barking at me. Okay, then that is it for today. I appreciate everybody who was here, all the chatters, all the stuff. If you want to be a cool guy in chat, you can go to the Discord and tell us what to cover, tell us what to talk about, tell us what to do and talk about. And so feel free to go to the Discord and tell us how you're feeling. If you want to follow me on the YouTube, you can do that too. I need the subs. Go there and press the sub button, press the like button, press the thumbs up button. Everybody loves it when you press the thumbs up button. It actually increases your lifespan by pressing the thumbs up button. Yeah, it does. You didn't know that, did you? Go there, press the thumbs up.
These statements have not been evaluated at the FDA for efficacy.
Everything is feelings these days. So that is everything for us today. I think we will be back on Monday night. I'll do a Monday night stream, and if Thomas isn't here, you're welcome to be here. If you are or aren't, I will have the lovely Lady Canooch. It got too much for today. Like, there were two people fighting about a thing in thing, and then Canooch was reading all of it, and then Thomas was talking to me, but he can't hear Canooch, so he's talking at the same time as Canooch, and I couldn't hear anything. It became too much, and I was playing a video game at the same time. But if Thomas isn't here, I will have Canooch on, and we will play some video games and feel the politics.
I'll be here on Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay, yeah, Wednesday we will play
our game stream.
We will play Baldur's Gate 3 and have moral debates about what to do with goblins. And the Bobo will be here too. So that is everything. That it is everybody. I appreciate it. Have a good day and